Mm. Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issue. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, run it back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step with Marcus J is live for the first time in a long time, coming off a hiatus, and we're excited. The band is back together. We got a lot to get to, and it's just going to be one of them shows. It's been 2 months plus since we had this combination. I'm excited. They're excited, and you should be too. It is indeed the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. We call this thing here that we do Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J. That's me, and we are live right now.
Yeah.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We are live, back in the building. Be down with us tonight. Phone lines are open, 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate the folks that's already checking in. We appreciate those folks that have checked in on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, those folks that are checking out the archives like a long time from now in the future, y'all still be checking us out. And we appreciate those things. It's because y'all rock with us. We will, in fact, continue to roll with you. So, this is the time of the show where I get everybody involved and all salutationed and get everybody introduced so that we can go through the show tonight. So I'm happy, first of all, to thank our brother who is checking us out already, our brother Kev Crossley. He's checking out. He says he's glad to see the show is back. And we are glad, my brother, to see you here. I'm going to get the usual suspects introduced, and then we will make sure that we check in with our favorite listener who's already checking in. So, but I'm going to get y'all in before we address her. You hear him across the table from me usually. I can't say every week because it's been 2 months. But I'm happy, man. I've seen him a little bit, but I haven't had an opportunity to do radio with my brother John in about 2 months. And so here's where I say, hi, John. How are you doing today, sir? Hello.
Hola, mi mano. ¿Cómo está?
Sí. ¿Cómo está?
Está bien, está bien.
Sí. Or solid, bruh. Yeah, it's good.
I'm good. It's good to be back.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. And of
Yeah.
course, our sister is sitting on the right side of me because she is my right hand. I'm so happy to be here with you, Steph B. How you doing, sister?
You already know. Always forward.
She said it. She said it. Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Hey, man. So since we got us in, we know you. We got to
Right.
get our sister in.
Yes,
She
I had to pick
she
up the
checked
mic.
in first thing, and here she said good morning, and she continued. I missed y'all. I've been jonesing a little, so we're gonna give it to her like she deserves it, robustly, as we look into the camera. We grab our mics and we say in unison,
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also very happy and proud. My brother is checking us out. What up, Pass? My brother Chad is checking us out, man. I appreciate you for rocking with us here. Somebody B. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy. And I got all this energy and excitement because
Yes,
I
you got a
haven't been
lot of
with
it.
y'all now. In the interest of full disclosure,
Yes. It's
2
kinda
days
like Ari
ago,
Melber
2 days
interviewing
ago,
his
we
boss.
had to reacquaint ourselves, Steph.
We had to rehydrate,
We had to rehydrate our relationship.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah. It was a little something going on. So,
Yeah.
how you doing, man?
Man, I have missed you guys.
Yeah.
You know,
You miss me more than him, though, right?
you know,
You
we
missed me
love
more.
him.
She
We
missed
know.
me more than you, John.
Look,
Yeah.
I missed you more than I miss John because if I miss John too much, I'd be jealous at his lifestyle.
There you go. That's
I
fair.
didn't want to.
That's fair.
I can't.
That's
I
fair.
can't think of John too much because palm trees and all that stuff cloud the
Man,
mind.
John is
But-
John is a whole he's a whole retired person.
A whole
man.
retired person.
She-
No, but you know, for real, this is what
Reclaiming my
happens.
time.
Oh, excuse us. That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
It's always so time away from you fellas has made me realize that I'm not having I'm not meeting enough gentlemen worthy of conversation. Because, you know, over this time, a lot has happened, right? A lot has gone on. And I've had these full conversations with so many of my, you know, women friends and acquaintances. And I can't really tell you I've had a deep, meaningful, helpful conversation about a lot of the things that are going on with menfolk, which also means I'm pretty discerning about which menfolk I'm gonna talk to. So I missed you, not because you always agree with me, because we know John ain't gonna do that, but because you are necessary in my life. I missed you, fellas.
That's special, man. I appreciate that. That you done got me a little bit humble. We getting
You definitely serve a purpose, and it's huge.
we getting love, John, from Minneapolis, and you know I told y'all 10 minutes ago we had a listener in the Midwest.
You did
that
tell
was
us.
that I just
We were
Harry,
preparing hydration.
Harry, I just told him I'm so happy to see you back, Harry. This is to you, brother.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you
Harry.
for being a supporter of us, and we appreciate you. And right back at you, Chad. And our brother, Legacy in that radio alumni, our brother Aaron Turner is checking us out.
Peace,
He's saying
Peace.
welcome back, John. What you got, man? It's
Listen, man.
Get the people something.
Get the people something. Get the people what they want.
I'm a different person right now than I was when we did a show for a few reasons. I'm gonna touch on it real quick. I remember you guys. I was telling you guys about. I had experienced a lot of different people passing in this calendar year so far. And the main one was my mother. My mother passed, and we were able to finally have a ceremony at the end of June, and that was just like a closing or opening of something, or a combination of the two, that just really made me be able to relax, just really not have to, because I was, putting everything together and talking to family and doing all this other kind of stuff. So that's done. And now it's just like I'm on a whole nother vibration. And it's like, yeah, continuing with the traveling. I got at least 4 more trips coming up, and I'm trying to coordinate them around. You and I have a trip in September.
September. Yeah, we got a trip in September.
So I'm going to be in New York.
I need to know the details.
Oh, we can give it to you right now.
Sure.
One of our brothers is jumping the broom.
Oh, is it the brother that proposed with the really nice ring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, because I would remember that.
We traveled to Florida for that.
For the engagement.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
congratulations to that brother and his beautiful bride.
Yeah.
So we going to do that, but I'm going to be in New York probably that whole week, or at least that Wednesday, because I got large business to deal with, coming back in season. And I'm thinking about leaving from there to go somewhere, because flights are always cheaper.
Yeah.
Leaving from New
if
York.
you could leave from even Newark these days, it's
Yeah.
so cheap to fly out of
Yeah,
New
Imagine
York.
a lifestyle where you say, I'm thinking about leaving from here.
Right?
Thinking about leaving
Oh,
from there.
it's coming.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go. I think
coming.
I'm going to go.
Listen,
I'm going to
folks,
see.
I'm back. Listen, and I'm back on full throttle with my financial consultant. So get with me, y'all. Y'all know the number, 718-288-2200. Get at me if you're trying to put your life in order so that you can live and not survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at me.
Yeah.
I can dig
You know
that.
what? And I'm gonna say this because we have witnessed John living according to what he preaches. I was just talking to one of my cousins, shout out Brenda, we call her baby Brenda. When you get black
Brand.
folk,
Yeah.
we call her baby Brenda because we got 3 Brendas in the family. So she's baby Brenda, and she's she's one of my
Any
little
Glorious?
cousins. No Glorious.
You
no
ain't got a
Gloria.
Gloria?
Listen,
We don't
You
have a
ain't got a
Gloria.
Gloria.
somebody,
No Glorias. 3
look,
Brendas. No
listen,
Glorias.
I need somebody to find me some Glorious, because I love that song, and I want to be able to.
Gloria.
No, not that one.
Oh, which one?
Gloria.
Oh.
I like the one you were singing.
Yeah, of course we 80s
Gloria,
baby.
Gloria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in my
Gloria.
class, my gym class.
Nah,
They had us
y'all-
dancing to that
listen,
in gym
y'all-
class.
y'all- see,
second grade.
Now I'm showing my age.
Hey,
Y'all a little
look,
bit younger than me.
We,
Yes.
but
But the
but,
other
but
one,
we
the
just
chick-
showed our age.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So just put it like this: the one I'm talking about was before that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for real, I'll say this. No different. Anytime you work in a consulting space, that's literally been my life, is consulting and coaching. And when you do it for so long, you come across a lot of other people who are like, "Oh, I'm a coach." Especially now, there's a lot of coaches. That's why I left Clubhouse, because there's a lot of people promising to make you $1 million business, and I'm like, you do know that concept is not meant to be $1 million strong, but okay, whatever. So there's a lot of people pushing that. I'm always of the mind that you go with somebody who is certified and has done the work. And so I'm not big on other consultants and coaches, because now it's like being a rapper. Everybody got a SoundCloud, everybody got an Instagram. Instantly you're a rapper because you got a MIDI board or whatever you got.
See, and I don't have none of that. I got a phone number
What,
that I've had since 1994.
no, but that's
Right?
a good. That's
I
a
have
good
a
point.
phone number. I have a series of phone numbers that I had since 1994.
But let me
with the same
finish, because
company.
it big ups you. So my thing is this: Mark, we've gotten to sit back and watch our brother, right?
Yes, we have.
And travel.
Yes, we have.
And he will even be honest about it, like, yo, I'm out here working for the plane money today or whatever. But I think I was just talking to my cousin Brenda about how most of our folk cannot retire.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am on a mission to avoid being a greeter at Walmart. There's, I'm on a mission to not have to deny myself things because I'm old and I can't work anymore. And I think it's important to bring that up.
Right.
Most of the time, when you see our elders working beyond their years, it's because there's no money to buy the things they need. So they end up going back to work. Tonight on MSNBC, they were talking about inflation and all of that. Or on John Oliver, there was an older woman. She retired and only got to be retired for 10 months because she didn't have enough based on inflation and all these other things to be able to sustain her. She hadn't set herself up properly. It has now been however many years we've been, or what are we going with you bringing the two of us in at the same time?
The three of us has been right around the beginning of the pandemic, right in the pandemic.
Okay.
2 years.
And in that period of time, I've heard this man verbalize that he is retired. I have seen this man behave like a retiree in the sense that he ain't doing nothing he don't want to do, right? And then on top of it, I have not heard this man complaining about not having the money to go and do the things he wants to do. And then the final part was I've seen the action of him actually going to do those things. So I would say in that way, yes, you should talk to this brother and figure out, because if nothing, he's demonstrating that if you want to retire, he's not an old man. He's a retired man in his 50s. I call him.
Dude, he's doing
I ain't
the
gonna
work.
call you right here. I'll talk to you later.
Ain't no how Step Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. Let me get these comments in. Then John, you got the con. Aaron Turner says that our brother Harry Williams is his uncle in Minnesota. So
did you know that?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did know that. But
I love that family.
But I don't know that the listeners knew that, and so I wanted
didn't know.
And you didn't know, so I wanted to make sure, because we've got Legacy and Radio alumni that has reached out outside of the network into their own personal network to show us love. And so
can we call him Uncle H?
We could call this man Uncle Harry.
Uncle Harry.
Can we call him Uncle Harry?
Megan calls Harry H because it's
Uncle
affectionate.
H? Uncle H?
So we call him Uncle H.
Uncle H
with affection.
Uncle H, you have now been christened as one of our favorite listeners.
Yeah,
and so
I love that.
Harry in Minnesota, whenever you rock with us, we're going to affectionately refer to you going forward as Uncle H.
Yeah.
Uncle H, we good?
We good on Uncle
We
H,
got it.
yeah.
All right. I appreciate that. And thank you. One more salutation to get. Another one of our favorite listeners who is a Virginia Union University alumni. He's down in Texas. He walked the grounds of Virginia Union University with me in the city of Richmond, Virginia. And we love him. We appreciate you. Thank you, Johnny Ogletree. Peace to you and Q.
Peace,
and
bro.
all of the family. Thank you. Uncle H,
H-town up.
yeah. He approved.
Yes, okay.
We
good.
approve. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, brother. Thank you, John. What you got, bro?
Yeah, no, I was just saying the key to it, folks, is real simple. Just realize what you can live without. Right? Realize what you can live without. Think about what it is you need to live and know the difference between living and surviving. Right? Because people work so hard just trying to survive, when if they just relaxed for a minute and figured out what they need to live, they wouldn't have to work so hard, because you don't need that much money if you're living. You need more money to survive than you do to live. So just think about it.
Look at that.
It's a
it's
jewel.
like a Mario Brothers or Mario Brothers, as I used to say.
It depends on where you live.
Before I moved
depends
south,
on where you live.
Me.
It's Mario back home.
I said Mario Brothers, and somebody was like, Mario.
It's Mario.
I'm from New York. I say Mario.
Yeah. Once you go across the Mason-Dixon line,
they checked
it's Mario.
Me quick. It's
yeah.
Mario.
Yeah.
But I felt like Mario Brothers, when you leaping and jumping and you hit the little block and some coins come out, you just
that's
drop
a
some
jewel.
coins on
That's
people.
one of the cool things. Let me put you over right quick, give you some flowers, John. This is one of the reasons why I like hanging out with him, because he reminds me in some ways of my older brother, because you're 6 months older than my older brother, you know, and I miss him. You know what I mean? And so the energy that we have is obviously different but similar. And we, you know, we share a different kind of brotherhood as well. And so when you drop jewels like that, man, you have no idea how you make your imprint, not just on me, but on them. You know, that jewel that you just dropped, as casual as it was, you just help people.
Yeah.
You know,
You
and I
got-
just appreciate you so much for that.
You got to, man. I was, like I said, I was in New York City, in the tri-state area, grinding. You know, I was making a whole lot of money in New York City with my last big boy, big up, big boy toys. Bagman, what up? And we was you know, I was
I know
doing,
what that means.
no. There's a guy who's been a long time person in the business in the exotic
Exotic
car
cars?
rentals, yeah.
Yeah.
And he brought me into it, and I made a ton of money doing it. But I realized that I was making that ton of money for the simple privilege of living in the tri-state area, because the money that I live on now is less than what I was paying for rent and utilities in the tri-state area. So I live, pay all my bills, travel at least 2 months out of the year. I'm out of the country, right?
Since I know him.
I was saying that.
Since I know him.
Off of the money that less money than I was paying for rent and utilities in the tri-state area.
I can put that in perspective in a different way. I just got word that someone close to me, I won't just, you know, mention who they are, that part doesn't matter, but a young person that's close to me that lives in Southern California is paying $3,100 a month for rent.
Well, I mean,
so
that's
let me give you a perspective.
That's
on
New
that.
York, really.
That's that's 3 times some mortgages here.
No. Let me give you perspective. $3,100 a month translates to what somebody brings home who makes about $52,000 a year, right? So school teachers, your whole bring home salary is somebody's rent, right?
And let's be real, you know, because I watched a really solid from Robert Reich. He's one of the you know, he's an old school economist, always on TV, CNN, Fox, wherever. And he was talking about that the rate of inflation did not change. It was always meant to keep, not inflation, minimum wage was always originally meant to keep the wealthy from becoming this class of people who were so untouchable that they could make it hard for the other classes to live. And that it all was going well. And that's why people could be on minimum wage, send someone to college, buy a car, buy a house, and so on, because minimum wage was keeping up with the cost of living and what the elite, the corporate people are driving. So he said one of the biggest problems, he said, if trickle-down economics had not happened, and this is an economist.
Well, it didn't happen.
He said, if it had not been implemented the way it was implemented, not that it happened, but if Reagan hadn't brought it about and changed that, which is, he said, that's the pivotal moment when you saw minimum wage no longer kept up with the cost of living. And if it did, it would be $27 an hour right now. So the fact that $3,100, if the average person is making $15 an hour, there's no way. Just no way.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Let's get a couple of comments and get our family in. Aaron Turner said, definitely a jewel. I am a financial professional, and he is exactly right. And so
all right.
as much as I know and respect our brother Aaron, the same as I know and respect you, you guys are endorsing each other. That's a lot of credibility. That's some credibility there. We're getting some love from Lil Sis, who's saying good morning to us, just as Big Sis did earlier in the show. So we're gonna give her the same love that her sister got as we get together, look at the mic, look into the camera, and we say, good morning, Lathrell. Yeah, ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so I think we have salutated enough.
One.
You want to salutate some more?
No, I don't.
He wants to salutate some more.
I don't want to salutate. It's something that's not on the agenda. And when the brother brought it up,
let's get
when
it.
we started, it's something that has to be known to our people because a lot of people don't know. So China and Russia have officially gone off the U.S. dollar standard, and now China and Russia are on a natural earth mineral budget with finance. So that's about a third of the world, right? Who will now not deal with the U.S. dollar as a standard of currency. So if you guys don't know what it means, you can't, because you go back to, you said trickle down economics. That was all a part of going off of the gold standard, right, and creating money from nothing, right, and going to a debt-based economy, which the U.S. has, and now we have the whole world using our debt-based. So the U.S. dollar is the world's line of currency, and Russia and China said, "Not no more, not for us." So this is what Gaddafi wanted to do when they murdered him. This is what Saddam Hussein wanted to do when they murdered him. They can't get to Putin and Xi Jinping. So yeah, I don't know where it's going right now, but people be careful. Mind your assets. Get you some gold. Get you some other currencies, because things might be funny for a bit and they might go back to normal, or we may not never be normal again. So just look into it. That's all I wanted to say. Look into it, folks. I gave you the information.
Before we get serious and be grown-ups, I want to have some fun first, right? I'm going to have some fun because I like this new song, right? I like this song, and I want to know if y'all like this song. Okay? Y'all hear it. Okay? Y'all hear that? Here. I love this. Y'all hear it. I love it. Yeah. All right. So can we talk a little bit about P Valley just for a minute?
No big spoilers, because
It's absolutely
this
this will not be a spoiler friendly conversation. It won't be. I promise. It's not going to be a spoiler conversation.
Okay.
But I really I only did that a little bit of a tease because I like P Valley, man.
One,
even gonna lie,
one,
like we should be
two,
shocked.
yeah, man.
one, two, break
yeah.
them. One,
Yeah,
two, break them.
Yeah, man. I like P Valley. And you know what I like more than I like P Valley?
What's that?
Mercedes.
The theme song to P Valley.
Mercedes.
Mercedes cool. You
And
know,
I
I'm
could
obviously
admit,
I'm not blind. You know, it for me,
I do love the theme song.
I did the strip club thing in my teens and 20s. The first time I ever went to a strip club, I won't tell y'all about it. Y'all thought I was gonna tell y'all about it. Yeah, I did the strip club thing in my 20s, right? And that's why in the first season of P Valley, I watched like the first couple of episodes. I was just like, yeah, I can't do it because I've been there, done that. I've done the strip club thing, and I've seen a lot naked girls in my life. Like it didn't do it for me. And even now watching it, it's never.
That's not the
it's
thing,
not the
right?
club scenes that do it for me. It's just not. It's the song. I don't know why I'm borderline obsessed with that damn song, but I just like the show. I like the show,
you know-
and this is going to be a spoiler-free conversation that we're going to take a few minutes to have about P Valley before we become grown-ups again and talk about some real shit. Okay?
Well, only grown-ups really should be watching.
Only
P Valley.
grown-up. Yeah.
So I still feel like it's grown-up topic.
Yeah, because if you down in the valley where the girls get naked,
You should
not be a kid.
No, we got
Yeah,
problems.
and
That's
look,
another conversation.
And if
Yeah,
you throwing
man,
bands,
come
you know
on,
they
man.
will shake it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I almost gave a spoiler. I never
So
gave a spoiler.
this is what I think about P Valley.
Because you're the perfect person to lead us off.
Okay.
You know why you are, Steph? You're the
For a
perfect
lot of
person
reasons.
for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably safer.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Little
Because you're gonna
safer.
set the tone of what we can or we
Okay.
cannot say.
I will
But
help.
you are the perfect person because John and I are closer to being caught up
Yes.
with the current storyline. You're a ways behind us
Yeah,
because
I
you
just-
started. You're not caught up.
I just this weekend watched ep1 of season 2.
Yeah. So you're the perfect person, Liz. So spoiler-free conversation that we were about to have about P Valley. For those folks who are listening and watching, you can make whatever comment you want as long as it's spoiler free. Having said that, Steph, give me some. Down in the valley when it,
First of all, you know, have you ever watched a show and been like, I'm not watching it for the acting. It ain't that great.
Every time I look at Power,
It's not okay. So okay. So okay, touche. The acting's just not that great.
horrible.
Particularly goodness, a homegirl that bought the club at the end of the season.
The light skin,
Light
the
skin
light
girl.
skin.
I didn't want to make the skins.
Yeah, that little light skin that did it, girl.
That's what Uncle Clifford calls her.
Yeah.
Her acting's horrible. However, the way they create the storyline, the way they incorporate the culture, I've heard a lot of people from that area or from down there to say these characters are very authentic. I love that. I love it. And I love how bold it is. Like Uncle Clifford is, I think it's where True Blood wanted why am I blinking? I think it's where True Blood wanted their gay character to go.
Yeah.
But although
you're talking about
Lafayette.
I
had to think about it in my
we lost him.
brother.
We
Yes,
lost him.
awesome
Yeah, we
brother.
lost
Powerful
him.
actor.
I had to think
I
about
loved
his
him.
name in my Sookie voice. So I was
Oh
like,
man,
what
you
is it?
see now we doing
Lafayette.
Oh, that was the greatest
I
show
loved
too.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel like Lafayette was kind of like the precursor in
To
the
Uncle
dark
Clifford.
world to Uncle Clifford if the world had been ready. Like if you really think about how old True Blood is,
Yeah.
the world would not have been ready for an Uncle Clifford type. So the timing is perfect.
Oh yeah.
And I love how committed the actor is to it.
That's because he is Uncle Clifford.
He's
you know
not,
that, right?
He doesn't present that way when you see him do his interviews and everything else. I love that he is so committed to going all the way with it. And then I just feel like it's I've been to New Orleans, I've been to Louisiana. I feel like this is really authentic reflection of how they talk to one another.
Yeah.
And regionally, we all have our lingo and what we say, particularly in the words of Ave, not Ebonics, it's Ave. But I love how they come across.
Yeah.
I feel like it's real. Now, what I've seen so far this season, I didn't know how they were gonna. It didn't start any way that I thought it would, and I'm happy for that. It's not cliche.
They addressed COVID in a way that is strip club appropriate.
Yes,
absolutely. They addressed COVID. The
I
show
can see whatever
started,
they did becoming a thing.
Yeah, I mean the show started. The summer that COVID hit legitimately, the summer of 20 was when season 1 was airing, and so when season 2 had to come back, they addressed it.
Yeah.
It's again spoiler free, but I agree with
Can't
Steph.
ignore
Let me get some comments in, John, and then you got the con. Sue said, "Hell yeah, I love me some Uncle Clifford.
Yes.
I love me some Uncle Clifford. I love Uncle Clifford. He's actually my favorite. Or she's actually my favorite character on the show.
I think he is
I think
it's
he's
they. It is they.
They refer to him.
I mean,
as she on
and
the
I'm
show.
not talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about a
sometimes they do.
person.
You're right.
They
You're right.
refer
I'm
to
not
him.
talking about him as an actor.
No, I'm talking about the
character.
The
I've
character.
heard he more than she.
I've heard she more than he.
Because the uncle.
All right, audience, chime in.
And the fact that we are even having this discussion
It
speaks
says
to our
of where
evolution.
we are.
Yeah.
This is evolution.
It
Can
speaks
we
to
please
evolution.
give my man some? Both of y'all, you didn't really take no work. But over here,
No, I never had an issue with that. Look,
Over
Pose
here-
was my favorite show for a while.
I know, but to the cinnamon uncle, for the cinnamon uncle to decide that he's going to be pronoun friendly.
I want to be.
and
no.
That's the one
listen.
curious about it, I should say.
You say your piece because I want to say something behind that too.
I'm just saying, like, one, Uncle Cliff is a character for character's sake. I mean, there's so much dynamic. Is anybody who acts or who knows anything about acting just like it's almost you don't want to play it if you can't really do
Commit
it.
to it.
Get
Yeah.
into it.
But there's so much there. There's so much unpacking there to
Yeah.
do to bring to the
Yes.
craft. That's like crazy.
There's some brilliance there. There's some brilliance there. I would say this, and I'll be very clear about the fictional character and the real characters that character may have been modeled after. I'm one of those people. I'm a live and let live type of man. Like, if that's who you are, that's who you are. If that's how you see yourself, then that's how I want to respect you. I don't have to understand it. It doesn't matter. That's your life, and I want to be respectful of how you move. And so, if I look at you and I see Uncle Clifford, and you have a masculine sounding name, but you refer to yourself as her, I mean, I'm not getting into that, because I would much prefer to respect you than get into an argument about my own personal confusion. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm not gonna ever, well, I used to, evolution, growth. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Array. Let me some comments in, and then we'll continue. John, you'll have the con next.
Okay.
Johnny says, not P Valley, Lord. Not that I have seen it. Quote, and he's I believe that's a little bit of tongue in cheek.
Right.
Sue says, I love me some Uncle Clifford. It depends on the situation and who he was talking with regards to the pronouns. I'm assuming that she means with regards to the pronouns.
Yeah.
She didn't respond one way or the other, but just based on your comment there, Sue, if I got that wrong, please correct me. And then two of my favorite people in the history of my life are checking in, so I'm gonna give them both the love that they absolutely deserve. First, my best friend in the entire world, my brother, partner, my friend, my brother, the pretty boy Damon, is checking us out. He says, peace, family. More like D Valley, yo. Yeah, especially if you've seen Diamond. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got some stuff to see.
I might have to do 2 episodes.
You got some stuff to
while
see.
Because
when you see the performance that Diamond puts on, yeah.
All I'm gonna say
is
this. My fast forward reaction is incredible.
Yeah,
because I go right into
there's definitely some scenes that I'm going to absolutely need to fast forward, because it's just I can't do it.
I mean, it's
but,
Diamond,
but
y'all.
but it's Diamond, and what he was doing with who he was doing it with.
Oh, I can't wait.
It was more about who he was doing it with. Yeah,
I'm just gonna say, Diamond is he rebukes all of the light skin chronicle. I did a panel.
I did a panel with the brother here in Richmond a couple of years ago. So I had an opportunity to talk with them and meet with them, because at the time he wasn't Diamond. He was Benny from the Have and the Have Nots, Yes. And so it was during that era that I got an opportunity to spend some time with him. Brilliant, wonderful, wonderful man, wonderful actor, and I'm just so happy and so proud of him for a lot of the things that he's doing. So let me get this last comment in. The dopest singer, entrepreneur, actress, and just wonderful, wonderful personality. My sister and yours, Jody Smith, JMM Music. She's checking us out.
Jody, get with
me.
me.
Yeah, Jody's great, man. I love her. And whenever you got something going on, you just holler at your boy. She said, what up, big bruh? Ain't no fucking half stepping. Yeah. I love it. And she's right, though. And then she says, I used to debate stuff like that, but now that I have a close family member within the trans community, I secretly think it's an identity crisis, but I stay silent with my opinions unless asked. And she loves us. I can dig that. I mean, because there are a lot of people who live in a space of confusion about how they feel about the culture, while at the same time loving the people that are close to them, while at the same time wanting to be respectful for people and their individuality. That's the space that I'm in. I don't have to understand it. I don't have to understand it. But you know what? When I see Uncle Clifford, I see somebody that, and it's fictional. Of course, it's fictional. But I've heard that particular actor is authentic to who he is in that character. And even if he wasn't, I know people like that. Many of us know people like that. I have no way in my life prepared to throw any shade at anybody for living their truth. Live your truth. Doesn't matter what I think. Live your truth. I respect you and I support you. And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. John, you got the con.
So how you let off was the thing. It's the song. It's like Power. When you hear it, listen, It's big bitch town. Your saying just sets you right off. I just come from the poor.
Yeah. It does. That's why they changed it back so quick.
Yeah.
And
What was it,
like
1 week?
Two.
And we made
Two
two weeks.
episodes.
Hey, look, the face you just made is the face we all made. We gonna all make the face in the camera right quick.
Really?
The face when Power changed the theme song.
Like, really, y'all doing that?
No.
Nobody asked you for that.
So
Bring Ghost back. That's what we asked
same
you
thing
for.
same thing with P Valley, because it just starts out
down in the valley where the girls get naked.
Y'all so childish.
You throwing bands and you know they gonna
Shake it.
1, 2,
break them.
1, 2,
break them. Oh, that song is everything. Are you kidding me?
Let me tell you. Very simple, simplistic words, but nothing else needs to be said.
You know
if you understand,
what it is.
if you understand the dynamic of what it is that's going on, then I mean, and there will be people who might even try to come for us.
I don't care.
Talking, please come
I
for us.
promise you, I don't care.
Please.
I don't. Yeah,
I will argue for Uncle Clifford.
Because let me tell you something.
Save it for Charlemagne.
First thing
I'm not making time to argue with you.
Clifford is the. Did y'all see him?
Nico, I think is his name. Nico something. Yeah.
I don't know if it was this season or last season, but he hits the pole. Clifford hits the pole.
Nico
and
that's
kills
this
it.
season. Don't tell me.
Okay,
but here's the irony, right?
But no, I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
Think about this. This is the most feminine person on the show, women included, without any loss of macho to, because I don't
swag.
Because you're not gonna run up on.
Yeah, I don't think he getting ran up on
swag.
Right, and I don't think
he's
punked.
non-binary, by the way, and in this. You know, he's meant to.
That's
be
where it gets a little
so what? Look.
Yeah,
off air, I'll help you.
I'm not. Listen.
That's where it gets confusing.
John,
my verbiage.
Off air, I will help you.
No, listen.
Just stop.
Yeah,
here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say. You can say that. I'll give you the thumbs up on it. I'm not gonna speak on it because Marcus taught me something over our years of doing this show. Right. That ain't my conversation.
There you go.
None of my business.
Yeah.
Clifford, my dude, I give him a fist up when I see him. We cool. I've known a lot of people in my lifetime and growing up in New York and being in entertainment. I've known a lot of Cliffords and Lafayette's and the like. And I've been in
Omar.
I've been in the club fighting with chairs and speakers and bottles flying back to back with Clifford, Omar, and Lafayette, and not felt like I was gonna lose.
The first time, and I'll say this, and I'm gonna move this on. Right, the first time that I actually heard a heterosexual man kind of put over a gay man in this manner was Eddie Murphy in the 80s when he was doing a skit. And he was talking about gay guys and how guys want to assume a certain thing, challenge them. He said, "This gay dude is a man. He'll kick your ass. Like he's still a dude. Like,
what you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go get a drink. What you gonna do?
Yeah, that joke. Yeah, exactly. I don't want. I'm just. That's how you move, man. And I love the show. I love him. I love. Her, they, however you refer, let me know what is appropriate, and that's the lane that I will refer to you in. That's how I move.
Uncle Clifford, period.
Uncle Clifford. You say Uncle Clifford?
AKA Uncle Clifford also went to SUNY.
Really?
Yeah, SUNY Purchase.
Tell everybody what SUNY is, because we know what SUNY is.
State University of New York.
There you go.
One of the best state university systems in the country. Truly, SUNY.
Full stop.
I'm glad that we had an opportunity to talk about P Valley, largely because I enjoy the show so much. But I think this was an opportunity for us to show support for those who may choose to live their lives differently than we live their lives. They are worthy of respect. And on this show, we're going to give it to them. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. Uncle H says, what show y'all talking about? Where to watch? I'm behind. Uncle H.
Stars
I
on
don't
Sunday
know, Uncle
nights.
H.
Uncle H. This show is called P Valley. It is found on Stars. It is a show that is set in the Louisiana, New Orleans
Mississippi
area, the
Delta.
Mississippi Delta, and it's set around a strip club. Now, if you just leave it there,
Tuscaloosa.
you may say,
Chuckaloosa.
I don't know about that. But the storylines, if you're someone that enjoys a show that has, the normal drama that comes with dramatic type shows, or,
Soaps.
you might appreciate it. And so we'll leave it there. You go ahead and Google it. And if it's something that you rock with, by all means, holler at your boy and I'll help you get caught up. And I have Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Net Radio. Y'all ready to get to the balance of the show? John, Steph, y'all ready to do some stuff? All right. So
Leg out.
let's talk about the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Let's talk about some of the decisions that they've made in our absence. And let's talk about cancel culture and how all of those things kind of play into one another. There are other things that we're going to get to, but we're shifting here, and that's where we're going to start. As far as the United States Supreme Court, Steph and I and our legal Tamika Robinson did a show on the 27th of June where we spent pretty much that entire show talking about the reversal of the decision Roe versus Wade. And that's just one of the decisions that has happened since we've been off air. Now we're back on, and now it's time to get into them. And so that is the backdrop. It's a lot there to kind of tackle. Steph, I want to kind of defer to you first as we kind of lead off the Supreme Court. Hopefully we'll start with the piece on the Supreme Court, which on the Roe versus Wade reversal. And I want you to kind of address that. John, I want you to address the gun situation that it talked about, and then we'll have some Supreme Court conversation as we move on to the rest of the show. There's a lot more going on. We're going to talk about Uvalde. We're going to talk about the preacher in New York who got robbed on a live stream. We should not be laughing, but we shouldn't be laughing, but we're going to talk about the hearings for January 6th. All of those things are on the table, but this is where we're going to start. So let's start with Roe versus Wade. We talked a lot about that, but there are listeners here that are returning that may or may not have been a part of that. So what you got starting with that, and then we'll jump around.
Well, so by now, most people know that Roe is no longer viewed as a federally mandated constitutional right for women as a reproductive service. And so they have said that right, or the communication of that right, would be left up to each individual state, that it is no longer a protected health right or a protected health opportunity for women in the United States under the federal law. So what that did right away, because obviously this has been a cornerstone of the Republican election, or the Republican National Party's election cycles. It is how they have maintained a significant hold over the Christian community. It's how they became known as the religious right, was abortion. That is when that term was coined among the Pat Roberts and the Jerry Falwells. Was the religious right hung their hat on overturning abortion, and why abortion would be the law of the land. And the ultimate goal really was to make sure that they commandeered a huge swath of the American public, which is already known to tithe, and therefore if they tithe, they will also donate. So now it is up to each individual state. There have been trigger laws that were immediately enacted, meaning the next morning there were already risks of trigger laws being enacted, which means that certain states, Mississippi, Texas, Wisconsin, Ohio, had laws set up so that once the Supreme Court made it a state's rights conversation, their laws would trigger for it to become illegal. So you now have several states in which abortion is illegal, and several more of those states have enacted vigilante laws around it, and even more of them have are now working on making sure that you cannot go and seek that right to health care outside of the state. So that's been, and mind you, they did all of this with 3 judges at minimum who stated during their confirmation hearings that Roe would be the law of the land.
That would be Kavanaugh. That would be Gorsuch. That would be Barrett.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Each
So
of them.
each of them said it
during their
when asked
confirmation.
directly. 2 of the 3 asked directly by Klobuchar, both publicly and in their pre-interviews before
not.
they even moved, and they all said that they saw Roe as the law of the land, and committed that there was no reason to overturn it because it was the law of the land during their confirmation hearings.
So you have to beg, it begs the question, why would they change or why would they switch? And it's funny, John, when we talk about the Supreme Court, it's supposed to be bipartisan or nonpartisan, whatever the correct terminology is there, where we're supposed to be dealing with issues. We're not supposed to be dealing with party. We're not supposed to be dealing with ways of life. When you talk about conservative versus liberal, we're supposed to be dealing directly with the issue at hand. And here we have them during their confirmations saying one thing, and now we have this change. And obviously, as men, it's a challenging thing for me to speak on issues that don't affect me, because I want to be on the right side of this argument with regards to how I feel about it. I want to be supportive to those who are affected. I don't want to be the guy who says, I'm so glad that this has been changed. Anybody with me? I don't want to be that guy. I want to be, I said it.
What's in that glass
I
over
said
there?
it.
What's in that glass over there?
I said it. I want to be the person who's on the right side of this argument. And in this particular conversation, this argument doesn't affect me with regards to specifics, And so when I see this overturned and I see that the Supreme Court, you got what, 9 people or 7 people, nine people who make a decision that overturn 50 years of history. 50 years of history. And now all of a sudden, you got a 10-year-old who has to cross state lines after they were raped to have an abortion.
Who attorneys general, as well as several senators and Congress people and conservative pundits attacked the family of by saying this is a lie, this is not a true story. And then what happened? They arrested the individual, and then all of them just quieted down and walked away. No apologies, no nothing, no true acknowledgement.
But this story is a case in point as to why it should have been left alone. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
now. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Why do you feel? And I'm asking this because we've not. Ironically, I prior to this really didn't know where either of you stood, and I still don't necessarily.
I'm happy to share. How
neither of you have ever said I'm pro this, I'm anti that. None of that.
OCD.
But I am very curious about why you would say this is not my fight. This is not my conversation.
You want it first?
Let me get in on the thing, and then we will address the question. You'll go first. I'll go second.
You want me to answer Steph's question first,
No,
or do you want it first?
I want to get in on the.
You respond. Send it to me when you're ready for me to have it.
Okay, so, I try to tell people all the time on this show, just 2 things. One, always pay attention to the money. Because if it wasn't no money involved, none of this would be an issue. And just remember where you at. This is United States of America. This is the birthplace of racism and white supremacy. White folks, for the most part, is evil, and they did some evil shit. Right? This goes back to Obama being elected, the Tea Party coming into power, and what white people allowed to go on and accept. Right? Because what they were doing in the presence of a black president, right? The fact that they allowed the pledge to go against anything he put into play, the fact that that was allowed to happen. Remember, they were in power. The fact that they allowed the Senate to not allow him to put in a
Garland.
put in Garland when he had the chance, and then they turned around and put in 2 in less time. Right?
I will say this. I love how the Republicans move on that.
Right?
But go ahead.
But I want to take it out of the party system, because the same people in the Democratic Party, the majority of people in the Democratic Party are these white people who claim to be liberal, on the side of justice or whatever. They acquiesce to this. They allowed it to go on. They did not expose it truly for what it was, and they did not demand that it. Listen, the people you mentioned, the 2 especially, Kavanaugh and what's the woman's name?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Barrett. Kavanaugh and Barrett lied to Congress, right? They should be removed on the strength of that. On the strength of that alone. But I don't know if I think he spinned it and skated it. They straight lied, right? So, and the whole point, people, the whole point of this whole thing was for this to happen, right? And the whole reason that this is happening is to keep you looking at all of this stuff as they take more of your money, dummy. Right? So you pay. Listen, Lord, last time I checked, I've never been pregnant, right? So I'm never gonna be in need of an abortion. So I really don't listen. I really don't have nothing to say about it. Whatever women say about it, I'm backing y'all, because that's y'all thing. Y'all get pregnant. I don't get pregnant. So where the majority of women fall, I'm behind you. Right? I'll back you. Let's go with it. Ride or die. Because I can't. Who am I to open my mouth? So when you have these people doing the things that they're doing, it's just, again, follow the money, folks. Follow the money. Because that's what it comes down to. These people are so rich, and they're going to stay rich for so long. And all of you conservative, Republican, religious, right people voting and storming capitals and all that, you so stupid. Because you ain't got 5 cents between the 2 of you, right? And y'all running behind this agenda that you think somebody got. Do you think any congressperson would have any problem getting their 10-year-old granddaughter an abortion if she got raped? Especially if it was one of them that did the raping, because they into that kind of shit. And y'all know it, but y'all gonna back them behind this? And you think that they doing it? You think these people are religious? They're not religious. Don't none of them give nothing about no God. None of them. They about money. Money is their God. And y'all long for the ride for the stupidity. But Marcus, go ahead and answer the question for the step.
My biggest deal was the fact that you had 3 justices who, during their confirmations, told you that they wasn't going to change it. They wasn't going to do anything with regards to Roe versus Wade. And then when it came up, first time it came up, it switched and changed. And so there is some impropriety there, in my opinion. because this is a case that we, as a country, have very, very personal feelings towards. Most of us, many of us, saying most, many of us have an opinion one way or the other how this goes. And it's hard for me to believe and accept that prospective justices wouldn't have had an opinion about this already. And so when you are asked and you say, no, I ain't fooling with it. And then when it comes up, you go in the opposite direction. That to me is disingenuous. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm a man who understands that I don't have lady parts. I'm a man who has been very open and clear in my adult life that a woman is an equal to a man. There are men who disagree with me. I've had those conversations. I don't care to have them in again. If you want to come for me in 804-402-2893 and tell me why a woman is not equal to a man. Let's debate that. 804-402-2893. Call us up and debate with me why a woman is not equal to a man with regards to her right to decide what happens to her body. Right? And so when I see this conversation recur and I hear men wanting to have opinions that are directed towards a woman's body and decisions in that realm where he cannot physically relate to those challenges, I look back and roll my eyes and fold my arms. And I wonder, what is it that you know that I don't know? What experience have you had that I haven't had that makes you qualified to have any fucking opinion with regards to what she does with her uterus? You lucky to even see it, bruh. You know.
Well, you don't see her uterus, but you look at the.
Well, yeah, I was trying to be. I was trying to say something big, and then it fell flat. It happens, right? You know, but seriously,
Yeah.
like I just, you know, I guess the way I'm wired, you know, because I've had conversations with people who have said things, you know, some that are happy that Roe versus Wade were overturned. I've had conversations with men who agree with that. And you know, I don't agree with the men that agree with the overturning, because I am one that defers to a woman to make the decision based upon what happens with her. But I'm a man. It's my baby. It's my seed. Yeah, it's her body. And I'm not debating anything beyond that. I'm not debating anything that goes beyond that. That is where it starts, and that is where it ends. For me, it's her body. Yeah, you a man, and yeah, you had sex with her. Yeah, you're the reason why she's pregnant. I can dig it. But once you got up and walked away from her, it is 100% solely her body, her choice, her decision. What happens next, in my opinion. And I'm willing to debate that with anybody. I don't care who you are. 804-402-2893. I've had this conversation with people who agree with me, and I've had this conversation with people who don't agree with me, and I'm ready for it. But the last thing that I'll say, John, I see you want to get in. The last thing that I will say about this is, until you live the life as a woman in our world, in our country, in our lives, until you live it as a woman, men, then you don't know what you're talking about. You might think you do, because you got a wife, because you got a mom, because you got a daughter, because you got a side chick that you knocked up, that you want to have an abortion, but now you can't. So now you got to be slick about it. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about here? It's not your choice, bruh.
I'll say this. If you wanted it that bad, you should have kept it. Bruh. If you wanted it that bad, should have kept it to yourself. Right? That's all. Look. You ain't got no say. You gave it up. So now, the only issue I have with the whole thing on a legal level is I am someone who understands the facts that each state in the union is sovereign. I know that. I know that the federal government has no power greater than each right of each individual state. I know that outside of the 10 square miles of DC, the president of the United States is powerless. He goes into another state, he has to bow down to the governor. So I understand the approach and the mindset of people with regard to what happens in a state and how that state wants to reflect its voting body, its people. And this is why I always say, listen, anybody who got an opinion and hasn't voted, you got to shut up. You got to shut up because the people in Texas have spoken. They know who their governors are. They know who it. And yeah, it's been some crooked stuff going on, some gerrymandering, redlining, all this kind of stuff, all kind of poll tax and wickedness going on. But y'all knew that from the jump. Get in your local place, make it happen, and then affect it as it branches out. But you can't sit up there and yell and pump your fists and write a sign and all these misspelled words and you don't vote. Because that's all it comes down to. Vote. Because you know where you can probably go get an abortion? New York, California.
You can.
You know why? Because people over there, when they want something, they go vote for what they want. Right? So y'all don't want to vote. And if you looking again, if you that terribly outnumbered that you can't protect your rights, you need to, when you can't change the people around you, you might have to change the people you're around.
So the only problem that I have is that a higher share of women vote than men. And what I feel like is, to your point, it's not about voting, it's who they're voting for. So I agree with that part. And certainly the problem is the 53%. The women that showed up for Trump, even over Hillary, the women, those same women were voting for him during during the primary as well. They knew, they understood that. He had a little faux pas during the campaign where he actually he made it clear he was considering legal ramifications for women who went to healthcare providers that provide abortion.
Unless he was paying for it, because he done paid for a few.
Oh, plenty. And I mean, if you grew up in New York,
for this man.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They also have voted for men who are in interracial marriages and said the next thing they're going to consider is interracial marriage.
Yeah.
They've also voted for men, Lindsey Graham, who are in whether it's clandestine or out and open relationships, same-sex relationships, but are willing to vote against codifying same-sex marriage
Uncle
as the
Lindsey.
law. The Lindsey girl.
Uncle Lindsey.
You know, he Miss Lindsey to you, baby. And so
as long as he put that suit on, I gotta call him Uncle Lindsey.
Really well. He don't like it. So the problem is, yes, people vote against their greater interest, but you also have to understand, and I would say this very comfortably in any environment, it is not against your better interest when you vote for the power dynamic you believe in. And so that 53% of women, of white women that voted for Trump, They voted for the power dynamic that they're used to anyway, the power dynamic that they are comfortable with, the power dynamic that has demonstrated to them that they know how to manage oppressive environments without becoming a part of the oppressed, a power dynamic that proved that they can subjugate an entire people without ending up on the other end of subjugation, even when those people are free. They are well aware that the power dynamic in the world are the same people they call peepaw, papaw, granddaddy, daddy and son. They are well aware of it and comfortable with it. They are so comfortable with it that they've convinced themselves that that power dynamic would never change, and it certainly wouldn't be as powerful even in the hands of a woman, even if we all got behind that woman and supported her. So I don't think that the cure will ever be women voting their interest, because the same way I'm voting mine, we may not want to admit it, they are voting theirs. They are the water carriers for white supremacy in this case and in many cases. And you saw it, and you see it with Trump, and that's where Karenism comes from and all that other stuff. So I think it's weird to know that just like our ancestors were on the plantation, male and female, their ancestors were on the plantation, male and female. Our ancestors on the plantation had a role they were forced to play, and they played that role, male and female. And their ancestors had a role they were choosing to play, male and female. So to now think that historically this systemic foundation of racism and oppression is going to change because these women are going to wake up and magically align themselves with Black and brown women, please, I think it's laughable. I think it's laughable. I think it's as laughable as looking at a woman in the Nation of Islam who's aligned with Louis Farrakhan and all of a sudden telling her, well, you should go align with Malcolm X, when you could see who the bigger power was. That is part of the problem of patriarchy. It does often force women into aligning with the worst of people to protect some of their own interests and deny some of their other interests. And that's what you saw with the 53%.
The only problem I have with that very analytical situation is, let's just put it like this: 74 million people voted for Trump. Less than 2% of them have money. Right. So there was nothing to protect. Those women who voted, they don't have any interest. Y'all broke. Y'all dirt. Y'all are dirt, rotten, poor at Walmart.
No.
Y'all don't have no interest to protect.
You're equating it all to money.
That's all it ever is.
But that
to
is
you.
not what it. That's what it is to you.
No. That's what it is. Period.
Yeah,
other people will try to create a facade,
I think the piece
an
that you're
illusion.
missing-
People are creating an illusion.
They're living in their reality of their own perception, John.
Right, and their perception is a joke.
And if they
because you
don't
broke,
have money, they're going to control what they can.
But here's the thing,
which is nothing.
Here's the
you
piece
can control nothing without money.
Here,
John,
and
Hold
the
on.
little bit of control that they did have to go get an abortion, they gave that up.
Here's the piece.
So they ain't even got no money for that.
Here's the piece you're missing.
Yeah, help me.
I'm gonna help you. Here's the piece you're missing. I've been living in Richmond, Virginia for 30 years. August 11th, next month. 30 years I've been living here. And what I've always found is that until Obama 12 years ago, 14 years ago. So half my time here, I've watched Virginia be a red state. The reason that Virginia is a red state is that I have found that poor, rural white people consistently vote Republican. They vote Republican often without any regard to the issue. They vote Republican based upon legacy, based upon habit, based upon how they feel they're supposed to vote. Now, we can apply racism to that. Sure, let's get it. Like, reality is every single person that votes Republican doesn't necessarily mean that they're racist, but we can acknowledge that for the most part, the racist platform is led by the Republican Party. You know what I'm saying? And there are some that vote that party that are, shall we say, conscientiously stupid. You know, Martin Luther King said the two most dangerous things is conscientious stupidity and sincere ignorance. These people ain't sincerely ignorant. They are conscientiously stupid to continue voting for a party that has consistently promoted racism, and then they act like they don't even see it. You see what I'm saying? And so you have a lot of white women who fall into that. I'm not going to say it because they're led by their men. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Southern people, based upon the New Deal and how politics has gone over the last 40 years, they're gonna vote there, just like black people vote Democrat, you know, as a monolith.
Yeah.
As a monolith. Southern white people often vote Republican as a monolith. So, you know, even if the practice of their party is adverse to their personal issues, they don't know any better. There are plenty of people who have voted Democrat knowing that this was adverse to what their issues are. It's just what happens on both sides of the party, you know? But if we're to go back to looking specifically at Roe versus Wade, and we're to specifically look at women, it's a difficult thing for me as a man to comment on, but I will when I see that anytime you have a group of people, in this case a party, whose platform is adverse to you, you should consider going in a different direction. Hard part is, in a two-party system, you don't have nowhere else to go.
Not a lot of places to go.
You don't have nowhere else to go. That's how you end up with people like me who voted for Jill Stein because I couldn't find myself voting for Hillary Clinton. Now, you know, I got to own that. I got to own that. I got to own the turnout for that.
At least you're honest about it.
I got to own the turnout for that. But Virginia went to Hillary, so I'm in the clear.
That saves you. It does want to help you out.
I'm in the clear. You know, but that's just what it is, man. And we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware that these people, they just don't know any better oftentimes, because you're not going to get people that's going to show up at the polls and they're going to look at the name John, Steph, Marcus, look at the names and say, I rocks with John, I'm gonna vote for him. No, he happens to be a Republican, so no, I can't rock with him. Or yeah, I can. Steph, she's a woman, she's a Democrat. Not saying that you are, you aren't, but you know what, I'm gonna rock with her. Nah, I can't. You know, people don't often vote the person like they often should. I have always been a proponent of, you know what? How about we just take the party off the ballot and just put the person who's running that'll force the voter to actually educate themselves with regards to it.
Or would it, with the way that things are so saturated on TV? Are you saying even when they're running those ads and everything else, you would erase the branding of the party?
Well, you can't because of that. And that kind of speaks, you know, in line lockstep with what I'm saying. Like you it's difficult to do that because we're inundated with blood versus cuz. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't run from blue and red in the street, in the hood, or at the ballot box. You can't.
There's nothing to go to.
You got no choice. Ain't no purple. You know, I would always call these people the purple people when we were in the early days of this show, or in the previous years of the show, when we would talk about the blue and the red. The purple people, like, they are opposite arms of the same bird, like the American bald eagle. One arm is blue, one arm is red. Where do we really fit? Because me personally, when I listen to them speak, you know, if I can get rid of the pandering that we get from the Crips, if I can get rid of the racism that we get from the Bloods and just deal with the actual issues, I, Marcus J. Me, y'all talk to me, you know, I'm somewhere in the middle. as a natural independent, I'm somewhere in the middle. But they know this, and they want to exclude people like me because people like me speak common sense. You know what I'm saying? I speak common sense because I know that if we deal with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, we're gonna find the right way to go. But nah, we got to deal with the blood and the club, cuz you got to pick a side, whether you're a race in a race conversation or if you're in a gender conversation, whatever the conversation that you're in, you're not going to have anybody. And you know, I get people that throw shade at me for being a moderate, but us moderates, we got it figured out because everybody got a little bit of truth.
Well, and don't I think the hard part, because I would have said years ago, I mean, I certainly have voted cross party on a ticket, and you know, and living in Florida, it was easy to do that. Um, but I think, or don't you think, that as extreme as it has become, that it makes it harder to be a moderate because there's this extremism, and at least in the progressive wing of the Crips, you have people who are willing, or excuse me, who are willing to at least they're pushing, and their platform is hugely about the people, and the progressive politics that they're stating are very socially, I know, socially liberal, and it's going to be a turnoff, but it certainly isn't exclusionary like what we're being offered now. Shaking hands across the aisle looks like you shaking hands with a Klansman.
Yeah,
You are.
How do you become
Yeah, I mean,
moderate
So
in this space?
here's my problem, right?
let me get a comment
ahead,
in,
please.
and then you jump in. Latrell says, but they're not going to be in the same place as those Negroes. You're assuming that these folks can read and comprehend to the issues. So go ahead, jump in, John.
So this is how it works for me, right? You take the junior representative first year coming in, I think their base salary is like $92,000. They get an operations budget and a staff, right? Take it away. Who would do the job? Take the money away. Take away all of the money in political service and then see who would do the job. Here's the problem. Y'all keep missing it. All of these people are getting paid. Go watch Distinguished Gentleman, Eddie Murphy movie, please. Please go watch Distinguished Gentleman, Eddie Murphy, right? These people are getting paid, and they are going to do whatever they need to do to keep getting paid. And you know what they need to do to keep getting paid? Nothing for you. This is how they stay in power. Because if they did something for you that might be beneficial to you, you may not need them. So they keep telling lies. They keep writing budgets. They keep spending more money to take more of your money. You know, your tax dollars don't go to run the government, right? Your tax dollars goes in the pockets of the people who you send to so-called represent you, right? You have to be able to do things on a local level. You first start in your house. Get your house in order, right? Stop trying to introduce yourself to complex things that really don't affect you the way you think they do, right? If you are 2-3 months behind in your bill, it shouldn't matter who's running for what, where, when. Get your shit together. Make yourself valuable. Find a trade or a skill or something. If you got access to the internet, you ain't got no reason to be broke at this point. Not in 2022, right? You either just lazy or so stupid that it shouldn't matter, right? Then after that, after you get your house in order, figure out the neighborhood that you in and work on that. Because all of this stuff, all of this is smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors because everybody who makes the decision about this is completely unaffected. No congressperson is worried about abortion. They're not. It doesn't affect them, right? Just like the Supreme Court with the law, they just passed a law where if you were convicted of a crime and you were serving a sentence and irrefutable evidence came into play to prove your innocence, you cannot introduce that. You must serve out the conviction that you were given. Right? We don't want to talk about that. They did that right. They pushed that right in after everybody went like this. Oh my God, Roe v. Wade. They slid that right in there. They slid that right in there. So now you got people, because people who were wrongly accused of crimes because of the internet and all this other, all this stuff was coming into play, right? And people were getting out of jail left and right. And if they get out of jail, guess what? You know, the United States was built on slavery, and it still runs on slavery. They just call it the prison industrial complex. That's slave. That's why slavery's still on the books as a law, right? So there's still people making tens of billions of dollars annually off of slave labor in this country, right? And they have a consistent influx of new slaves based on the slave catchers, which is the police system in this country. And all of this stuff is consistent, it's going on, right? It's not changed. It hasn't changed since they've implemented chattel slavery in this country. And it's not going to change. And you people keep thinking that you're doing something, that something is better, that something is different. None of this is different because y'all keep missing the big picture. It's all about the money. And if you don't have any, none of this matters to you. You just got to stay out of jail and keep your son out of jail, your daughter off the pole, and figure something out.
You know, it's funny. You know, it's harsh.
I really hate
It's
that last part.
Harsh as
I'm
it sounds,
sorry.
though, but as harsh as
But
it
that's
was,
what your assignment.
but it's
It's
hard.
not your assignment.
but it's
Keep
hard-
your daughter off the pole.
But as harsh as that was,
Come on.
it was an analogy, to not be taken specifically word for word. And I understand the spirit of what you're trying to say.
Okay, well, let me be clear. One, as somebody
Yeah,
who
if
knows
you want,
the
if you,
adult,
want- if you want to clean it
somebody
up,
who
go ahead
knows
and clean it up. But I
All right,
understood what
okay.
you were trying to say.
if somebody talking for somebody who knows about adult entertainment in a
We
way
did
that
talk
most
about P
people
Valley.
don't,
We did talk about
right?
P Valley.
But
We
but
set
I
it
but
up.
I have a I have
Down
an
in the valley,
I
when
have
the
an
girls
I
get
have a
naked.
lifetime of investment in adult entertainment, so I understand. I know this vast majority of women who are involved in it, if they had options to do other things, wouldn't. Now there are some who actually that is what they want to do, and they do it, and more power to them. Congratulations, love you. When you're doing something that you would pay to do and getting paid to do it, you're successful. So I'm not trying to throw any shade on any of that. The basis of what I'm saying is, right, and I know people who go to jail, right, who do stuff, get caught and go to jail because they can make more money in jail and send it home. They call it shitty money because they pack it in their ass crack before they send it home.
Yeah, you're getting deep
Right.
into
So
where
so
I don't
this
think I
is some
wanna go
real
there.
this is some real stuff
My
I'm telling
boat
you.
is tilted.
right?
I think
So what I'm
Sideways, yeah.
what I'm what
You
I'm
going this
what
way,
what
I'ma
I'm
go this way.
what I'm saying is this, right? You have an assignment. Your assignment is to make things better for your children, to create so that they can have so they can experience self-actualization, so that they can not have to think about surviving the world, so that they can find out in their minds what it is, what their genius ability is, so that they can apply it to their life and become a productive member in society and make the world better around them. Your assignment is to make that as close to possible as you can as an individual. Now, I use the analogy out of jail and off the pole because it's an analogy. It goes back to Chris Rock and this
Yeah,
comedy special he did years ago, right? It's no shade at people who make their living that way.
Chris said your job as a dad is to keep your daughter off the pole.
Right. So with
Yeah, that's the
with
joke.
that said is make your life right so that your children's lives can be better than yours, and so hopefully that your grandchildren can do something better. All of this stuff, this political stuff that we talking about, understand it's all about, and I tried to get you were going to help me out, and I didn't get it. It's just money. Because if you take the money out, it will all shut down immediately.
Jump in.
None of these people are working for free. They working to steal and rob.
I don't disagree with that. I would also say that we just had grifters in the White House who took no money from the system, but made a lot of money off of it. And the thing about politics is, and I am professionally capable of saying that it's the salesmanship of it all that ends up making you the money. So you could become a politician at the local, state, or federal level that finds a way to make everything else more lucrative than the job you have. Most of them have, and which also supports your point of follow the money or know that this is all about money. The problem with dismissing it in this way, ad hominem, just saying, it's all about the money, is that it's directly impacting lives. So for the women who are vocal, proactive, professional, who have voted against people who would take the rights, healthcare rights away, reproductive healthcare rights away from women, for the women who continue to march and make their voices heard and show up at meetings and so on. It is almost difficult. Yes, we know that money is the machine. We understand the machine. And it would be great to just be like, oh, it's all about the money, except that it does have a direct impact on the household. It does. It has a significant direct household impact when the money starts to change rules that directly impact us. So, for instance, and when we kind of had this conversation before, it's always funny if we're going to make a rule for men, then they're like, well, then women must. We just made a rule for women. There has been no give on the male side. And so when I said, okay, listen, what I want is I will donate money to the candidate and I'll campaign for free for the candidate and speech right for the candidate who will push the 222 plan. If you have 2 children outside of marriage, you've never been married, you have 2 children. If you have 2 baby mamas, within or without or out, and it's never been in marriage, which is going to hit a lot of y'all. If you are 2 months in arrears, if you are $2,000 in arrears, any of those 4 caveats, then I think you should have a mandatory, state mandated vasectomy. Let's go ahead and cure the problem where the problem begins. You're irresponsible, son. So let's go ahead and do that. If I said that and I put my money in and my push, and listen, if you are a female legislator and you want help pushing a plan that is going to now mandate where men stick their wick and what they do and how and what the results and outcomes are so that we have some equanimity, I'm all for it. But what will happen is men will say, well, if we do this, then this has to happen. If we do this, and this has to. But more importantly, it will never happen. They would never allow testicles and peni to be legislated. They just never would allow it. I sold penis pumps as a medical device rep. They were covered by Medicare and Medicaid. And none of these men were like, well, it helps me go to the bathroom better in the morning, or it impacts my urine health. No, they were worried about everything else. Viagra is covered. There are so many things in women's reproductive health that are not covered that it angers me when we just want to say, let's dismiss this and make it about money. Because more importantly, it's about masculinity. Yes, there are women that are supporting it, but there were men from the religious right to the National Right to Life Council that created the basis to be able to turn this into Gilead and all of us into handmaids and you guys into the commanders. Someone asked the other day, they said, I'm going to start a sentence and you end it. And the sentence was, straight men are ... And I said, a direct correlation to the beginning and end of America's problems right now. Because there are really none of those problems that you're going to shoot straight back to women because we haven't had the legislative power. The only way things like this start to shift, honestly and unfortunately, is to remove cis heteromasculinity and money. Both of those things typically are in the hands of a very specific power structure. And I would also challenge and say there are a huge portion of Black men that believe the same way. All they want to do is replace the white power structure. You're not going to be any better or any different or any more valued or vaunted. You'll do the same. Black men get in power, they will do the same thing. I'm sorry. They will do the exact same thing. as white men, because it isn't about the gender, it is about the power associated with it. And people who run for office that are men typically are fighting on power platforms. When you watch the women that are running, it is very rare that they are running on power platforms. They are running on people platforms. Obama was the closest, and when he got in there, he was a war hawk, if we're really real about it. So again, power, ego, masculinity. And that is bigger than money. And that's why you cannot look at poor black women who die more from maternal health than anyone else. Black women who already are marginalized in the healthcare system, and tell them, oh, well, you're dumb. You're not paying attention to the money. Boom, boom, boom. No, they don't have the money. They don't have the influence. They're out there using their political voices. And still, the money attached to masculinity and the patriarchy is impacting them. So I don't want to be dismissive that they are living this result of the money that we keep talking about. I don't disagree with you that money has too much power in politics. I think it's dismissive to look at women and say, oh, well, you stupid, you're not paying attention to the money. You need to understand that this transition because of money is now impacting bodies. And there are other abortion services, DNCs, and everything else that women endure and have to get. Sometimes that have nothing to do with the abortive process. So we cannot minimize it and just say it's the money, and you girls need to understand that.
That is not my point. Here's my point. You're right. Full stop. Here's what I'm getting at. The women who are doing most of the arguing live in states where they can get an abortion.
True.
The women who are quiet are in the states where it's a problem. And again, white men in power are only in power because the white women are supporting them.
I said they are the water
right?
carriers for supremacy.
So again, the women, as they are being marginalized, have to understand that it is a deliberate action. And the deliberate action that's happening is happening to maintain power. And the power is based in money.
I don't disagree with that part.
What I'm trying to say to people is not in any way trying to minimize the fact that a young girl can be raped and have to travel across state lines to get an abortion and still be victimized, re-victimized by the actions that in anybody's brain is a natural situation, right? That's not what I'm minimizing. What I'm trying to say is refocus, right? Because locus of control. What can you really do? What you can really do is handle your business and get your shit together, because this power structure is the structure and it has not changed. It's become stronger, right? We are not better off. People need to stop thinking that nonsense. The power structure, the average white family has a wealth of about $50,000 in the family. The average black family has about $5.
Yes.
Right? So to understand, and we make more. We make more money, but we spend 4 times as much. Our spending power as 13 to 18% of the population, we spend 35% of the money that gets spent in this country as black people.
Yes.
That's all we do is spend money.
We're just consumers.
We are the power of the mechanism that go. So this is why I don't know how many times I can just get this over to people, right? All you got to do is move your money, right? Move your money. All of these places that shoot black men in the back, running away, all these places that are messing with women's reproductive rights and women's rights in general that have been trampled upon since. Just pick a date, right? Since the whole idea of this Judeo-Christian society based on God and his ideologies. Since forever, women's rights have been trampled upon. All you got to do is just remember, all that comes down to is, if you take your resources, whatever they be, work, money, spending, intelligence, or whatever, and move it away, they will come behind you or they will find another way, right? This is what boycotting worked. I'm not into marching, but I'm into boycotting, right? Take the money out of the situation and watch people's opinion change. Watch how their opinion changes quick, right? This is, and again, this is why I keep saying the money. But how about this? I'm going to stick with this one. Fix yourself before you worry about anything else. Because if these things are, because the people who make these decisions are unaffected by the decisions, you're the ones who are affected by the decision. And the fact that you're affected by the decision is because your lack of resources, your lack of power, your lack of money.
That I can agree with. That I can agree with. That kind of statement, that's more relevant because I don't disagree with you that we've gotta handle what's happening at home. I do not. I think that for the Black community in general, I think about that when it comes to consumerism. I think about that when it comes to communal accountability. I think about that when it comes to the standard by which we live and hold one another. 1,000% agree with you on that. And I do think, just like it has been proven in recently, but as well in civil rights days, what was the first, that was the big thing that Martin Luther King was pushing. And I look at this in the sales and marketing element of the reporting world, right, of media. It's important for them to consistently show you file footage of marching Black Americans, because they want you to think that was the largest thing they were doing. They do not have specials where they say, okay, CNBC tonight is going to talk about the fiscal impact of Black people deciding they would boycott the bus system, that they would no longer use certain cab systems, that they would only buy from one another. I 1,000% agree with you there, because transitioning our money into places and organizations, and even banking systems that are going to support what we do, spending our money with people who are going to respect our dollar, investing our money in things that make sense for us, FUBU, I think is absolute. That 1,000% I can tie to every single time.
So the best example that I know about is when Martin Luther King gave that last speech and he said, we're gonna divest ourselves.
Yes.
And he was dead like the
that
next
was when
day.
he would that
So
was when
Tomorrow,
he-
next day.
Yeah, that was when he was heading down to
That was a
the-
mountaintop
the-
speech.
to Alabama
said
for
he was-
the garbage strike, the
Memphis.
sanitation
Right.
strike to Memphis.
So
Yeah.
so just I'm gonna leave it at
They
this.
also don't play that speech a lot, because within
in its
that
entirety.
speech,
I do.
I know I've actually
I do.
listened to you play the entirety.
I played
of
the
that
whole
speech.
thing. It's
So-
like a 30, 40-minute speech
Mhm.
I want
that most people only know the last 5 minutes
Right,
of.
because that last 5 minutes is marketable
That's the
to
church
the
part.
masses.
That's the church part.
The rest of it is what they would call that CRT.
The rest of that speech, that is a, and this is an analogy that may fall flat, but I hope you all understand the spirit of it. That is a Malcolm X speech for 35 minutes. The last 5 is Martin Luther King. We got some difficult days ahead.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
I'm
right,
not
right,
gonna
right.
worry about that, because I've been to the
I've been to the
mountaintop.
mountaintop,
Like,
and I
that's the
may
Martin.
not make it.
I may not make it. That's the Martin Luther King part. But the rest of that speech is
The
talking
impact.
is the impact, where he's talking about how y'all fucking with us and we not standing for it no more. It's about how I'm here to celebrate these people who you not taking care of, the sanitation workers.
Yes.
And they don't like to talk about that, Martin Luther King.
So I want y'all to think about this. Think about this, right? Coca-Cola, the people who own Santa Claus as we see it,
Yeah.
right? They own Santa Claus. Coca-Cola makes it mandatory that the people who work for them take urban learning so that they can relate to the black people in America.
That's crazy as fuck.
And if you don't fall black enough, you're gonna get fired. Because Coca-Cola knows this. Black people gonna drink some soda.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus
like
J live
Pepsi,
from
though.
New Dan Legacy and Radio. All right, so listen, in the limited time that we have left,
Right.
I want to try to run through a few things, okay? I want to touch some stuff. We're about 17 minutes from the top of the hour. And when we get to the top of the hour, that's when we want to start trying to transition. So we got limited time to get through a few things. One of the things that I want to talk about is the January 6th hearings that we're hearing now, where we're hearing a lot of stuff that went on that day that we didn't know about. Some of us kind of had our assumptions when we saw Donald Trump at the time saying and performing and doing the things that he was doing to lead the people who supported him towards what they ended up doing on that day. And it's a rare moment, but it's a apropos moment where I let you know ahead of time what I'm going to rant on. Part of my rant is going to be about this. And so there'll be minimal things that I will say here because I'm going to save it for that. But we have been subjected to, what is it, 8, 9 of these hearings, something like that. Eight of these hearings where we're seeing the committee interview people who were there, who have firsthand knowledge, who were with then President Donald Trump, and they saw not only what happened on January 6th, but were privy to conversations that happened prior to January 6th that led to the bullshit that we saw happen that day. So let's talk about it. As we have seen, I just like saying bullshit. Sometimes when I want to say bullshit, I say that shit with my chest. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I gotta say that shit with my whole chest. I got a nice chest too. It's just a whole chest.
Did you miss him?
He ain't miss me. I don't care though.
I miss you.
I love you. Thank you for missing me. But yeah, so we know what it was that day. Like I said, I'm not going to say much here.
Yeah.
This is more so for you guys to say. I'll say kind of more later on. It's time for me to rant and close. But as we watch this, John, I want you to lead off. Steph, I want you to follow him. The January 6th hearings, like we hearing, and I don't remember all of the names of the people who have testified, and you know how we do on this show. The specifics, for those who are into the specifics, hit us up and give us the names. I don't care about that. If you know the names of the people, I more so care about how you feel. I'm a feeling person. I want to talk about how you feel, John, Steph, when you watch this bullshit where they told us about the shit we seen firsthand. And I ain't need none of this because I know Donald Trump is a terrible motherfucker, but we seen it. We hear them. We're getting specifics of people who were there, who told us, we seen this dude fighting with his own peoples. We heard them tell him, can't go down there. I know you said, and I'm going to be there with you. Can't be there with them. Because we know what'll happen if you go down there with them. Legally, it ain't good for you. Not because it would be a detriment and unsafe. It was more about the legal stuff. Legally, we can't let you go there. And we hear about the fight that he had with a Secret Service person. And they would tell you, oh, it's hearsay and all that kind of stuff. There is nothing that has happened in the last 5 years and 6 years of this man on the national level. People like you two from Brooklyn, me from Jersey City, of a certain age, who grew up with him and his mendacity. I love that. And his lying and his, no, I'm going to save it. and his
I was
bullshit.
like, come on, bring it.
He knows what I'm talking about. You don't, but yeah,
I'm waiting for the big stuff.
no,
I thought you were, you've been holding on to the bombs lately.
yeah,
So
it's a bomb.
is this something else?
It's
Oh,
one. I'm gonna
goodness,
drop
okay.
when I'm ready for it.
All right,
I ain't
all right.
ready for it. Stuff.
I'm
Wanna
ready.
say it yet, man? Yeah, but yeah, his bullshit. So John, I want you up first, and don't you dare try to steal my thunder, John.
Not even close.
Okay.
So
yeah, I have fun with this,
This-
and I
this-
have fun with this mostly because I haven't been in a room with them for 2 months, so I'm gonna have fun with them.
So I'm gonna say this about the everybody involved. And I'm gonna be clear. I want y'all to hear me. Everybody involved with anything having to do with January 6th is an ass clown. Full stop. Why are we having a trial? We got video, right? We saw a whole bunch of white people do some really illegal federal treason type shit and get away with it. We saw them beat the shit out of police, right?
Down.
Okay. Back the blue as we beat your ass, right? And again, had it been more than 7 black people in that crowd, they would have shot all of y'all. Just on GP. Why you that close to a black person?
And let's be honest, there's been proof of that.
Right? So standing, where was Big Mike at? Ferguson? These black people were standing in the middle of the street in their neighborhood. The closest thing to any of them was a closed liquor store with a metal gate. They tear gas, bombed, shot, rubber bulleted, and beat these people back. They surrounded them. They did all kinds. And this was just the Ferguson Police Department with a couple of weekend warriors. I forgot. No offense to you guys, and thank you for your service, but y'all know who y'all are. I can't think of their name. Reserves.
The reserves.
Yeah. And you watched these white people rip down barricades, take American flags, and beat police into the ground, break windows, government property, like breaking windows, climbing on shit, tearing down flags, putting feces on walls, putting feet on desks to the speaker of the house. Right? And you can't understand what's going on here. And they're going to tell you, well, yeah, we saw it, but did we really see it? Matter of fact, let's have a trial so that we could talk about what we may have seen and may not have seen. Oh, let me tell you, look. Y'all didn't know Trump wanted to be there. Yeah, we know he wanted to be there. He said he wanted to be there. You ain't got to tell me that. He tried to wrestle the steering wheel from it. That's some dumb shit Trump would do because he's a moron. Again, ass clown. Also, and I got to disagree with Marcus a little bit. They wasn't worried about the legal ramification. What they were worried about was if he took his orange ass down there, he would have empowered the individuals there.
Yes.
And it would have became truly uncontrollable, where they would have had to kill some more white people. One white woman got shot. One shot. You had roughly over 5, I don't know how many people it was, but it was a lot. Thousands of white people crashing at one shot fired. They put 90-something bullets in a black man back running away a couple weeks
60.
ago. 60 shots.
It was only 60.
Okay.
It wasn't
90
90,
shots,
John.
Okay.
You're exaggerating,
Okay.
John.
So listen.
He was not shot 90 times, John.
So
it was 30
only
less than that.
It was only 60.
Okay.
Look at you.
It was
So
not
that-
nearly as
you
brutal
are-
as
you
you're trying to make
are
it
a
seem.
reverse racist. How dare you?
Forgive my
It was
sensationalism.
It was only 60.
Look, forgive my
shots from the
sensationalism.
police
Forgive
to
my
a black man
sensationalism.
With his back to
unarmed,
them.
running
look,
from
look,
them.
look. I stayed at a Holiday Inn
It's-
Express, and I watched MSNBC, so I know how to
Hey,
sensationalize
look,
shit.
I just like talking shit around the irony of the bullshit.
So,
how you
but-
were trying
but
to make it.
that's-
Let me just say this real quick. How you were trying to make the point that it took a whole insurrection for them to fire one shot, and they killed a white woman, and it was a big deal versus the not 90,
60
but
bullets.
60 bullets, and it wasn't even 60. It was like 40 something.
Now,
Yeah,
how many shots were fired? I ain't talking about how many hit 'em.
90 some
It was
odd,
like 90 something
96.
shots.
That's what I'm talking
it was
about.
like 40 shots that hit
Okay,
him.
so here we go.
Yeah.
Because they can't shoot.
I'll
So
fall
anyway,
back, but I think I made my point.
90 something shots
running
for one dude.
running away
One black man gets 90 something shots
in the back.
in the back running away. These people were running too, beating the shit out of police with weapons, armed, and they got one shot. And I don't think dude meant to let it go. I think he just had it like, come on. Oh shit. I really don't think he meant to let it go. Because there was a
He was way outnumbered.
and here's what they won't tell you. The no fire command was given. Right? Because the woman a few years ago took a wrong turn, came up on the barrier. They put like how many shots in her car?
Oh,
that
yeah,
black woman?
the black woman at the Capitol. Yeah, didn't she have a baby or something?
Yeah, it made a wrong turn and tried to,
and was
tried
freaked
to do.
out.
She was trying to do the little, how you back out of a small spot, and they just let loose in her car.
I do want to say this in regard to before we move off that topic. What I find interesting about I don't even say interesting, annoying about these hearings is this attempt to now make these people who are coming forward heroes of some sort. You got a subpoena to a congressional hearing, and you can either go the Bannon way or you can go this way. Most of them don't have the firepower behind them that Bannon had. He took the chance, right?
And he lost.
What do you got to do? 2 months? They said
they haven't come back yet. It could be
It's up
anywhere
to a
from
year.
2 months to
It's up to a year.
if it
and
runs
that's going to be house
concurrently.
arrest.
If
guaranteed.
not, they could go as many as 24 months non-concurrent. It won't be. My problem is just you see it with anybody who worked for Pence and then decided to speak up. Anybody who sat there and they benefited from a full term of foolery. I even feel this way about Liz Cheney. Okay, so what? You voted for him twice. He was involved with all kind of chicanery and whatnot in the first administration, and you were willing to vote for him again. So the fact that she's going after him, I'm not going to cast my pearls before swine, because the fact of the matter is, you still, even the man who said, the older elderly man who is, I think, a state attorney general for somewhere out Midwest, he was like, this all frail looking all of a sudden. This, I could never do this. It's it's not right according to the Constitution. And then he turns around and says he would the very next day, yes, I would vote for him again. You just sat in front of Congress. So to go ahead and lionize these people as so brave and bold, it's disgusting.
That's the one thing.
And there's no way Black people can rehabilitate themselves this easily. And I have a problem with that.
Absolutely not. It's one of the things that I've watched with exhaustion when I see how these people are celebrated for speaking on things that they saw and knew, experienced real time. And so I'm not good with the names, so I'm not going to try. If you want to task me as being uninformed and do what you do. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm one of those people who remember watching the hearing last week, and I saw that woman sit there and tell this story with passion and vigor. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you ain't had that passion and vigor in the moment. Oh, I quit that day. I couldn't deal with it no more. I couldn't be a part of this no more. I quit. Oh, so here we hear from you a year and a half later. You had to be subpoenaed. You had to be tasked with coming in here. Was it really his mendacity and bullshit and bravado from that day that caused you to feel that it was too much? Because I promise you, well, I couldn't promise because I'm not there. So let me pull that back and say this a different way. As you watch and you observe this man prior to that day, you ain't see nothing before then that caused you to have the feeling that you had that day. Like, really? That was the day that it was enough for you? It was really enough for you the day and the time when you watched American people storm the Capitol, roll up in there, bust windows, shit on the floor, smear it on the wall, tear up stuff, fly the Confederate flag, and chant for the killing of the second and third highest ranking officials elected in our country. That was the day that was too much for you. That's when it was too much for you. It wasn't nothing before that. That's when it was too much for you. And even if it was the day that it was too much for you, on January 6, 2021, and I said I'll have more about this in my closing. I will, damn it, it's a lot to say. But that was the day it was too much for you. That was the day when you was like, yeah, this Donald Trump thing is too much. Like, for real, it was that was the day when you watched him and you said it's too much, and you had to have a court order to come to the American people where you was like, all right, here's what happened for real, for real. Come on, man. I mean, I'm glad that you came and you spoke, but if all of this that we're going through now with the hearings, with the information, and quite frankly, with the emotion that a lot of us have put through this from that day to now, it took all of that from you to open your fucking mouth when we talking about the United States of America, how y'all talk about y'all book, the Constitution. We know how much you love it. And if you ain't love it enough that day to open your mouth that day, you waited till now. You waited for them to give you a piece of paper that says, bring your ass to court. You got to come talk now. People got to hear from you. And we know for real, whether we know or whether we feel or whether we are just damaged as American people, where it's similar to being battered people in a domestic violence situation. We're battered as American people because many of us be like, yeah, we watching this shit ain't gonna matter. His ass ain't going to jail. He ain't gonna be indicted for nothing. Ain't nothing gonna happen except for we gonna just know. Okay, we know. But a lot of us knew on January 6th as we was watching it. When we saw from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to whatever time it was, 4 o'clock, 3 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever the clock said it was, however much time it took, with his ass sitting there chilling. We didn't hear from him until he came out and he said, we love you. You're good people. Go home with peace. Like, it took all of that. And let's be clear. You're the president of the United States of America. You know that white woman was shot. Not only did you know she got shot, and I'm saying that white woman because we know if it was black people on the Capitol, it wouldn't have even been what it was. It wouldn't have been. When it was Black Lives Matter weeks earlier, they shut that shit down before it even got to anything. When it was the black lady who rolled up by accident trying to U-turn, they killed her. So you got white people on the Capitol. You don't want to kill them because they flying his flag. Come on. Ain't nobody want to talk about this. You might want to cancel me for talking about it. But it's from some real stuff. This is our country. And you got black people walking around. You got black people and you tell us that we don't love the country. We are frustrated and pissed off because that's what we do. We love this shit. Why? We here. We built it. And while we frustrated, and while we walk around with our fist balled up and our face balled up and our fist in the air, and we angry, pissed off, we here. So all of this, y'all can leave and go somewhere else. That's bullshit. Ain't nobody going nowhere. This my shit ain't going nowhere. I built this. I ain't going nowhere. And I got a right to have an attitude about what's going on. I got an attitude. And I'm pissed off at the president of the United States standing there talking about, and I'm going to be there with you, storm the Capitol, knowing that he knew that people had guns and weapons in the crowd. And he sent them there. And we got elected officials acting like it wasn't a real thing. The fuck? And you got people right now who work with you that you're going to see tomorrow that's going to vote for him again. America. Some bullshit. I'm tired. This is why I don't do this like I used to do this. You know, I'm moonlighting in the emotional state. I'm a yogi now. I don't care as much as I used to. But I do, though. I do. I really do. And it upsets me so much because I was on the radio when this dude came down the escalator and told y'all he was running. And I told y'all I was going to be some bullshit. I knew it then. John knew it then. And so did Steph. Because we of a certain age where we saw this man for years as we grew up in the New Jersey, New York area. We knew what he was going to do. Ain't none of us surprised by this shit. Not one of us is surprised. We're not surprised. We knew. Before they even came along and was a part of this, I was telling y'all every single week. I called him the master of mendacity. What does that mean? Mendacity means he lies a lot. If he opens his mouth, he's lying. I promise you. He's lying. He's lying. And he, during the outtakes, told you, I don't want to say. I don't want to say that. You know, like he's telling you, like he knows, and it's the gaslighting for me, man. That's the part that gets me so upset. I don't like gaslighting in my personal life because some of y'all do that shit too, and I don't like it in my public life. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Net Radio. I appreciate y'all allowing me to step on the soapbox. I'm short, and sometimes I need to step on it to look down at y'all when I tell y'all the shit I need y'all to hear. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. You want to rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. All right. So last thing that I want to get to before we shut it down, because we're getting into the space where we're going to need to be shutting down. There are a couple of things on the table that we wrote down and we didn't get to, but there's one. I'll just say this real quick. Y'all want to comment. If you don't want to comment, say something real quick, and then we'll get out of it. Uvalde, we haven't had a chance to really talk about it. The police response that happened in Uvalde is the reason why black people be saying the crazy shit we say, fuck the police, and they don't care about us and all this kind of stuff. They a bunch of tough guys, and they do what they want to do with us, and they run up on us and they shoot us. We're unarmed, and I can name John Crawford and Eric Garner and Sean Bell and Tamir Rice. I can go through all of the, Philando Castiles. I can go through all of that, right? And here you got one specific situation where nobody would blame them for rolling up in their guns blazing in Uvalde, and we see their asses be a bunch of pusillanimous men. Okay? Pusillanimous. Look it up. They were very pusillanimous, where they stood there and they watched what was going on. And even though we could not hear it because they gave us the grace of taking the sound away from us, they had to hear them babies screaming. Over an hour, they stood there and watched. It's just one police department, Marcus J. Why would you put one police department and make it a national thing? Why? Because all over the country, I'm watching, John's watching, Steph's watching black men and women be killed by pusillanimous officers who kill us unarmed, where they had a situation where nobody would blame them for going in there guns blazing and taking care of the situation, and they stood there for an hour. Sir, we're talking to, can you please stop shooting? Sir, like, we seen them on the video trying to have a conversation with someone who rolled up in a school and killed babies. Come on, man. What kind of country are we living in? Is this America? Is this America for real?
Yeah.
Because it's not consistent. The behavior is not consistent. And how we are treated and how they are treated is not consistent. Very, very briefly, because there's one more thing I want to get to before. So, John, you had a comment as to why they did not handle that position, that situation where they're like,
it's very
I'd
consistent.
love to hear you
look,
make public
and it wasn't
that comment.
First thing, it wasn't one police department. They had more officers there from border control than anything else. They had other federal officers. They had all kind of people there. They had Colonel Sanders in that motherfucker, right? They had everybody there, right? And they didn't do it because they was waiting for him to kill a few more, because them was mostly brown babies, right? That town is mostly, people from the other side of the border in their generations that came here, right? Had it been white babies, had it been some white babies, they'd have killed them faster. They'd have killed them a lot faster, right? So, and Marcus, I got to disagree with you. It's quite consistent. It's quite consistent, right? It's quite consistent. It's what they do, and that's how they do it. And it's no big deal. No, I don't know who got fired. I think some people were allowed to quit and get a pension and all this other kind of stuff.
They canceled the meeting today to address the firing of the police chief.
Oh, who will go someplace else and be a police chief?
It's what happens all the time.
Right?
Absolutely.
So Frank Rizzo is all I got to say to all of that shit. So, but this is who we are. This is America. This is who we are. We are a capitalist, racist, white supremacist society who lives off of slave labor. That's it. And I put this challenge out a few months ago or last year, maybe a year ago. And I'm waiting for somebody to call in. Please, somebody find me something in history in the past 1,000 years that white people have done productive and beneficial to the world. I'll wait. One thing.
So don't be mad when they call and say slavery.
Well, yeah. Oh, wait.
Thinks so.
Something that's productive that didn't involve rape, murder,
pillaging,
lies,
stealing, colonizing,
and breaking treaties.
The irony is they'll call us racist for saying these things.
I mean, but that's the truth.
Right, sure.
It is the truth.
Yeah.
And I would look at I would look at the people who are non-black in my life and say, prove it wrong before you say that. Prove it wrong. So, the worst part about Uvalde is that children are gone, that lives are interrupted, that now it is political fodder, that people were comfortable outside the room listening to those children. It had to be listening to them pray, scream, cry, die. The fact that they removed it so that we, the public, don't have to hear it, thank God, it just tells you how traumatic and terrifying it must be. I can't even imagine. I remember one of my children one time, like some hot water got on them. They were standing too close to the car while dad was working on the car. And hot water came out and thankfully didn't scald or scar. But the sound of my child's voice screaming at that sent me, it was hair raising for me, sent me into a fit. Like, thank God dad was there, because I would have been no good. I was so overwhelmed by it. I don't know how people who are parents stand outside the room. What I think is interesting, John, to your point, is yes, this is the country and the policing system that we have built. More than one Supreme Court and state Supreme Court have supported, upheld, and voted for a law that states that the police do not have to put themselves at danger for you.
Nope.
So right away, it's problematic. It's problematic because the marketing is, these are your heroes. Don't dare speak.
That takes serve and protect out the picture.
Well, it immediately does. And that goes to the marketing. Everything is sold. Everything is sold. And it's why I love being in the sales game so much and working with business owners so much and talking about that, because really, even on my radio show, we talk about everything is sold. They sold you the imagery. They made these people Batman. And you will fight against me, not meaning you people out there will fight against me and will fight against the people who said, hey, we need to defund them, when they were saying that rather than hearing the total argument, which wasn't no longer pay them and no longer employ them. It was they have tools at their tools and resources at their disposal that they should not have, that they're not equipped to use, and they shouldn't be used in many situations. And Uvalde is exactly an example of the inability to be able to go in and mastermind a negotiation or keep someone from creating a mass murder. And I think the biggest part of it all is that beginning less than 5 hours after this mass shooting, not only were the police station, and they sent out a thing called the narrative, by the way. You can read it online. It's what they submitted, and a news outlet got a hold of it. Not only did they send out the narrative, but it wasn't even a day. It was within the day, they had officials at the highest level co-signing on it. They had the mayor, they had the governor. They were confronting Beto O'Rourke as he stood there in what is now going to be a historic recorded photograph that will go in the documents, when they were calling him an SOB and everything else. And then not even 2-3 days later, you got the mayor going, I'm very disappointed. You got the governor, the highest power. You just said the president bows down to the governor of the state. The governor sat idly by, accepted the narrative, was protecting the narrative, and I promise you would have continued to protect it if the media wasn't so dogged, if Beto O'Rourke wasn't so dogged. And so what you folk need to understand is that when you're mad at these Blacktivists, which here in Richmond, Virginia, it's a significant population of Black women who get out and talk about police abuse and talk about the inequities in policing and things like that. Now, some of you folk have gotten to see what it looks like. But what you don't realize is you've supported the marketing. You've bought into the sales narrative so deeply that when an entire group of people were saying, hey, we have over 150 documented moments in which this has been problematic from the same organization, because I don't care where you policing is a national
Slave
grouping.
catching.
It is a national organization. So here you go. You defended them for so long to the detriment of the lives of 19 children. And there has not been, I think, as much as I hate that this has happened, this is what people will accept as the most clear evidence of police misconduct. And we have been dealing with this since Abner Louima.
Oh, before
Before that. But I'm talking modern times, where those of us in the room could easily just jump right there, stop there, and make it clear to the people who are listening. This has been, Amadou Diallo.
Eleanor Bumpers.
We can go from 1980 to exactly.
Anniversary for that was this week. Yeah.
We could go from 1980 to now, and there are everyday demonstrations of exactly what Black Americans say about the inequities in policing. The only difference is that the target this time was brown children.
So I got a quick thing. How big is that town? How many people in that town?
It's a very small town. The biggest thing out of there is Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, so watch this. They got this town, right? They got this town with these people in it, right? It's not a big town, right? And they got this police department, and they got these border control people. All these people live in the town.
Population was 15,217. The square mileage of Uvalde is 7.672 miles.
It's more people than that here in Churchill.
Hold on.
Well,
Jackson Ward.
If you want to say Jackson Ward, yeah.
So here we go. You got 15,000 people, right? And you got this school with these babies in it, right? You got all these police. So wasn't none of their babies in that school.
No, most of and
What?
thi-
None of they babies in that school.
But you need to understand this, and this was an interesting part when I this is why you also get your news from other sources. You know, everybody likes the big name. You want the Maddows and the Carlsons and the blah blah blah, and that's who we're going to argue about and over. But when you start to go to these journalists who are paid to do the work at the low level, that are trying to make a name for themselves in the business, that's when you see the real journalism. And I was reading a local journalist there had written about it. And he was like, you know, even now as people celebrate Matthew McConaughey didn't go to public schools. His mom was a teacher in the only private school. The town is predominantly Latino, but the voting population in the ruling class is white, while they only are about 20 some odd percent of the population
living off
there.
the money
And
the
I was
work
just going to
that
say,
these
so it
brown
goes to
people
your
spend.
earlier point about the money in the town and where it's been, and overwhelmingly the leadership in the town, and I use that word very loosely, leadership in the town is overwhelmingly
the controlling part.
unreflective of the majority of the people in that town.
Just
So
like
the
every
leaders are
other
not-
community in the country.
Absolutely, but
last
it's
thing,
even worse in that little tiny town to think of that.
Watch this. One more thing, people. Let's take this back to where we were before. The Supreme Court also did something else very nefarious, right? Within 600 miles of any U.S. border, you have no Fourth Amendment right. You can be stopped and searched without notice, and your property can be taken from you if you're within 600
They take
miles.
a lot of money that way, by the way.
Yep.
Huge amount
Right?
of money is
So
taken that
I
way
think
annually.
half of Richmond is on the line. I think the east part of Richmond is on the line. Anybody east of that, along that coast, police and border, anybody could stop you, take your shit, and ain't got to give you no explanation. So the Supreme Court did that too. They also slid that behind the Roe v. Wade. So there's noise, but then there's static. Remember, it's always look at the shiny thing over here while we do all this shit over here. And people don't even know about. And that town is affected by that. Because those brown people who came over in generation, and we got the what's the thing they want? The with the kids.
You talking about the kids that come over from another country?
Yeah, they had the thing with them getting citizenship.
Yeah, I know what
the
you're talking
Dreamers Act.
Dreamers.
The Dreamers, the other people, the people who go into the army. How you go and serve 2 tours active duty and you're not a citizen? Should be autopilot. You could serve in the army and die for this country, but and still get deported. If that ain't the dumbest shit, right? And we sit here as a country, as a people, and we tolerate this shit and act like it's not happening. This is real. Those 19 babies are dead, and they were alive before. And they are dead because they are brown. The man who went in there to kill them, he wasn't looking to kill babies. He was looking to kill brown babies. That's what he wanted to do. And that's what he did. And we won't even give it the dignity of what it is. We want to act like though the police, they never had the situation. They didn't know what to do that. But I bet you if one cop had one kid in that school, that door would have got kicked in. He'd have got shot in the face.
One had a wife.
Right,
had a wife
but not a
and
baby. But again, a wife. Now flip the script. Let it have been a wife with a husband. She'd have kicked the door in and shot somebody.
How many parents did we hear who did what they could? There was one parent
She went
in there and came out with her 2 kids.
Both her kids who
Yeah.
were, she made it very clear. They were in different classrooms
Different
in
rooms.
different directions, and she made it happen.
She came out with both her kids.
Guess
Even
what?
though the
You know-
teacher
you know,
didn't
I'd
want
have
her
came
in
out
there.
with mine too. Stop me. Go ahead.
I'll take the final word on this one.
Yes, sir.
As I watched that, I saw the video of police in the hallways negotiating and having dialogue with a assailant who was not responding to them, while they knew for over an hour there were not only people who were injured but likely dead. Because if you have a long rifle, and you're shot, you're going to die, especially as every moment passes by. And for them to have the colossal gall to continue waiting and waiting and waiting. Like, just think about it for a minute, right? 70 minutes plus, a little over an hour. Just think about the conversation that we were having 70 minutes ago. Can you remember it? We know we talked about a lot of stuff, but 70 minutes from right now, can you remember what we were talking about? I can't.
Right.
I'm sure if I sat here and I thought about it, maybe I could try to find
back,
what
right.
we talked about. But an hour passed. If you at home in your quiet moments, it's just you and your ice cream and your remote control. Can you remember what you was doing an hour ago? An hour ago? An hour ago. And they waited over an hour while they were hearing babies screaming to decide that they was going to go in there and deal with that. And it's an isolated incident, Marcus J. It's just that one police department, Marcus J. Why would you put all of the police in the country on that, Marcus J? Because they look at black people and they seem to think that we are all the same. So if they're going to feel that way about us, then it is not that far-fetched for me and others to look at the blue uniform and say, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? How was you trained? Was you trained to be pusillanimous and sit out there and wait and wait and wait until one heroic police officer says, all right, man, that's bullshit. I ain't waiting no more. Fuck all this.
Oh, he ain't got no more bullets.
I'm going to go in there and I'm going to handle that, which has ended up being what ended up happening. A police officer went rogue and took this dude out. You see what I'm saying? So how are we to trust the industry of policing when we see such a colossal failure? It's hard, it's unnecessary, and it's impossible for those of us who have seen how we've been treated and to trust the police. And you know how Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. All right, so listen, we're going to move towards our close. It's that time of the show. It's unfortunate, but this also is what it is. So, John, Steph, you guys be thinking about how you want to close with your own rants and your own closings. We got missing children that we need to get through. Whatever the opposite of favorite is, that's this part of the show for me. I hate this part of the show, but we're gonna always do it. We're gonna always do it. Whenever John or Steph or me has a mic, we're gonna always do it. All right, so we're gonna look for 3. We've been gone for a while. We're gonna look for 3. We're gonna look at the triad of our town, starting with the Cap. We're gonna look at Henrico. We're gonna look at Chesterfield. We're gonna start with Nathan Butler Good, who's missing from here in the Cap. He's a 5'10", 185-pound black male. He's 17. I'm looking at this picture. He's dark skinned. He got short dreads, like short, like maybe ear length. He was last seen wearing a black shirt, white flowers, black shorts, white high top sneakers, a black book bag with green designs. He has a scar on his left bicep, and his hair is styled in a small afro, even though in this picture it's like mini dreads. Nathan requires medication, and he may be in need of medical attention. So if you've seen our young brother Nathan Butler Good, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or simply contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. We're also at this time looking for our sister Juliana Johnson. She's also missing from the Cap City, but more specifically Henrico County, July 18th. She's a black female based on the photo I see here. She's lighter skin, lighter than me. She's like light skin. And she's got a puff, like like the Afro puff that we like to wear here.
The fine apple.
And she's 5'4". She's 120 pounds. She was last seen wearing a gray shirt, blue jeans, yellow Crocs, team Crocs. And she also requires medication. So we've seen
What city?
she's in
Marcus on that
Rico.
one?
She's in Rico. She's in Rico. So if we've seen our sister Juliana Johnson, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. And then we're looking for one more. We did Richmond, we did Henrico. Now we're going to poke our nose around Chesterfield County. So I'm efforting my computer to cooperate with me here. It's technology here. Bear with me. Charge it to my computer and not my heart here. But tonight, it appears that we are looking for our sister Princess Deja, and I hope that I'm pronouncing that properly. My apologies if I'm not. Dajeu is how we're spelling the last name. Dajeu. Princess being the first name. And she looks like one. She's a beautiful young woman. She's chocolate. She's got a little bit of a fro going on here. She's got glasses. I'm seeing the picture. All this I'm going to post on social media here soon. So if you follow John, Steph, or me, just follow one of our pages and you can see all of the young folks that we're looking for tonight. But she's 13, y'all. She's 13. She's missing from Chesterfield County. Here's the southern tip of us here in the cap. She's a black female. She's 5'6". She's 175 pounds. Last seen on July 21st, which was last Friday. That was Thursday. I'm sorry. That was last Thursday. So if you've seen Princess Deja, please forgive me for the pronunciation. Dajeu is the spelling. Please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children, their website, missingkids.org, or call us at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. So let's recap. Princess Deja, she's Chesterfield. Juliana Johnson, she's Henrico. Nathan Butler Good, he's the Cap City here in Richmond. If you've seen any of them, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them via the phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. I'm always going to look for our babies. If I got one of these mice in my hand, I'm going to be talking about a missing child. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. I like this part too. Shout out to my brother Hakeem in Jersey City. Step 502, baby, all day, every day. He bestowed us this piece of history here. It was a calendar that had moments of Black history that we've used to go into our moments in Black history. And people ask me all the time, why you do Black history? Why it's always going to be Black history? Why you always got to talk disparaging about white people? All this stuff. This history, man, they done some foul shit. They done some foul shit. If you're not one of those people who did some foul shit, then you shouldn't feel a way about it. You should be as immersed in the history and immersed in the leading us out of this type of history into more of a positive history than complaining about the fact that we do history. Speaking of how white people done some foul shit. White people done some foul shit. They still in Texas trying to talk about how we ain't slaves and how we are involuntarily in servitude. Like, really? You want to change up the words on some real shit? Involuntary servitude, really? Indigenous people, involuntary servitude, really? So you didn't really steal us from a whole nother country, bring us here, make us till your land? For real? You're not gonna tell your kids that. You're not gonna tell your kid. I gotta tell my kids that though, right? I gotta tell my kids how we were slaves. I tell my kids about how we were brought here from a whole nother country and forced into bondage. But you tell your kids that we were involuntary servitude, right? You're gonna change up the verbiage to make yourself not seem so bad so your kids don't look at you like you done some foul shit. Come on, man. I'm not that dude. You're listening to the wrong show for that. So here's where we will always speak the truth so that we can do better in the future. So we can teach our children where we've been so they know where we want to go. All right. So 1899, moments before his trial is to begin, a white mob whips Frank Embry, a black man, more than 100 times and hangs him in front of more than 1,000 onlookers in Fayette, Missouri. So the hanging wasn't bad enough. You had to lash him first. Okay. 1910, white men killed black taxi driver Mitchell Johnson in Montgomery, Alabama, after being arrested for not paying fare. Paying a fare avoids prosecution. So he didn't pay a fare, so that was worthy of death. Okay. 1972, Washington Star reports on Tuskegee syphilis experiment by United States Centers for Disease Control using poor black Alabama sharecroppers. We've talked about the Tuskegee experiment many, many times on this show. 1890, Marsh Cook, a white advocate for black voting rights, is murdered in Jasper County, Mississippi, by white man who opposed his work. No one is arrested or prosecuted. You know what they call him? They call him an N-word lover. He's trying to help us out, cost him his life. But you mad at me for talking about history. Okay. Let's see. President Harry Truman in 1948 racially integrates the United States Armed Forces by signing Executive Order 9981. You mean to tell me in my daddy's lifetime, in my mommy's lifetime, we just now getting the right to actually fight in a war that we probably don't want to fight in anyway. America, gotta love it. Yeah. All right, here's the last one. 1868, 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution is ratified, declaring all persons born or nationalized in the United States, including black people, are citizens and guaranteeing equal protection of the laws. 1868. Yeah. We know they didn't honor that. Yeah. You know how Steppin Marcus J. Yeah. I might get fussed at for some of the stuff that we say here, but hey, come for me. 8044-022-893 is the number to dial. If you want to rock with us, we'll roll with you. If you don't want to rock with us, listen to somebody else. John, you, my friend, have the con. This is the time of the show where we rant, we close, we say whatever it is we want to say to shut down our show. You will go first. Steph will follow you. I will close us out. Before you take that con, I will just say this, man. I appreciate you. I thank you so much. I miss doing this with you. This show is at its apex when you are here, when Steph is here, and I'm here. If one of the three of us is not here, it's not as great as it could be. It's great. It's great. But it's at its apex when this triad has the con. Appreciate you, bro. Rock with us. Take us home.
I apologize, excuse me, for the delay. Within the past 10 years, Mississippi finally eradicated slavery from their state. You could still own slaves in Mississippi up until I think it's 2015. And I don't mean the prison slave system, which is still prominent in this country. I'm just telling you could own a slave in Mississippi up to about 2015. This is America. Somebody could check me on that, but I'm pretty sure about my date. So when I explain to people, often as I do, about policing and its evil, I'm not talking about police officers. I don't know every police officer, but I do know what policing in America is. It is extension of slave catching, right? It was organized, it was set up, it was designed to do that, and it's been doing it since its inception. When they say, okay, John, how do you say that? Well, if you go into any police station, the police are sent out at roll call when they are there, and they are given assignments on how to police the area. And they said, go here because this is where the crime is. This is where you will find the crime. And where that is where the black people are. Right? So criminal is code word for black people, black men, right? You got white collar crime, which the police don't deal with, right? You got organized crime, police don't deal with. But regular crime, yeah, police deal with that, and they deal with that because black people are the perpetrators of these crimes. And white people say, well, you know, black people commit all the crime. Well, white people, the crimes that they are accused of committing were created based on them being freed slaves. Vagrancy, loitering, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. All of this stuff that the 80% of people who get detained and given summonses and other kind who when they put them into the system to run them through the system to create this document which becomes a stock which they openly trade. The prison numbers are stock numbers and they openly trade them on the market, right? When they created this system to do this, it was designed for black men specifically. Now it doesn't matter, just black people in general. And once in a while, you get some white people caught up in the situation. But for most of the time, when they do that, that's something else altogether. And guess what? They can get out of it. They can actually be rehabilitated. Check out recidivism rates among blacks versus whites to understand what is going on. This is modern day slavery. This is still what moves this country. This is still who we are as a country. And again, I'm not moving out of the country, right? I spend a lot of time out of the country, but I'm not moving out of the country, right? Because even in its flaw, it's better than a lot of other places, right? We have to have honest conversations. This is how we're going to be able to deal with this, to have honest conversations. White people in America, I'm sorry, y'all want to talk all this good stuff or whatever, y'all are racist and evil, right? Because if you're not a Trump supporter, you know a Trump supporter is somebody's in your family, and you act like it's okay, oh, they just a Trump supporter, it's okay, that's still my family, I still love them. And if you love a racist, you're a racist. If you love a white supremacist, you're a white supremacist. That's it. There's nothing else to say to it. And you try to argue all you want, but it won't work. That's what it is. So, you evil, racist, white supremacist motherfuckers, let's have an honest conversation about what's going on. Right? Because what you don't understand is that you are being played in the worst way because you somehow think that your whiteness is going to feed you. It's not. Don't you see what they're doing to you? They're cutting all of the programs that you eat off of, right? They're cutting all the programs. And I don't care if your trailer is 600 miles from the border, they will come in there and take all your shit, your meth, your guns, and you have no Fourth Amendment rights anymore. You're subjected to this shit. listen. These guys are laughing at me.
I got
But
a
the-
business.
but
to run.
listen,
Can we just
the
note
sadness-
that
The sadness of
your
the
comments
sad.
are
Listen,
your own.
the sadness of this. The sadness of this humor. The sadness of this humor is the truth. I'm sorry. We're gonna have an honest conversation here. And listen, there's a solution to this, right? Get some money. I'm talking to white people. Get some money. Stop believing the hype. Just because you don't have melanin, you're not any better than anybody else. Trust me, you have a lot more in common than black people in this country than the people you vote for.
Yes.
Right? We are so much more in the same kind of situation based on what goes on in our lives. What are we concerned about? Your concern, the concerns you have for yourself and your family and the betterment of your community are the same exact concerns that black people and brown people and all other kind of people have for theirs. The people who are selling you this bullshit are the ones who don't care about none of it. They living well. They living well. Right? And you never gonna get anywhere next to them. I will guarantee you this, right? Let me think of somebody real black. Nah. I need somebody. Yeah, I need somebody undeniably like. Just think about some black celebrity that you know, right? Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes, he done went to jail. No, not Wesley Snipes. Oprah Winfrey, right? Oprah Winfrey's pretty black. Whoopi Goldberg. Both of those two black women have a much better chance of having dinner at a white person's house that you voted for than you do. White man. They don't like you. They don't want to be around you. Right? So they'll sit down and feed and wait on these black people because they got money and influence and you don't have any. Right? So just think about that when you do your racism stuff. Make yourself valuable. Get some money. Right? Get some money and stop running behind, the orange flame. What is the master of mendacity? Yeah, stop running behind him and his dumb ass. Because I'll tell you something about him. When he came into office, he was about liquid. He's about 650 million. When he left, he's about 7 billion.
Killing it.
So he got all that money off of y'all. And then send no weapons to the Ukraine. And now they over there catching it. And they doubled the price on them. Biden ain't slick. He doubled the price on the weapons. They ain't giving them shit. They buying it. To keep a war going that don't need to go nowhere. We could have sent the NYPD over there and wiped out Russia. Russia's weak on boots on the ground military. They got a bunch of bombs, but boots on the ground, they weak. And lastly, I'll end this with this. Anything, if you see it, if it's on the news and you see it, if you're aware of it, it's bullshit. It has been looked over, rewritten, redesigned, edited, redacted, spun, and changed, and then given to you. The best you could hope for is some live video from someone. Oh, but wait. You can't record the cops no more. You got to be 25 feet away to record the cops. And if they move up on you, if you don't continue to move back, they can snatch your phone. Right? I think it's 4 states that adopted that, and they're moving it over to other states now. So you can't even record. So we can't even get no Floyd no more. Right? Because they're gonna snatch that phone. You're not gonna be able to see the disgusting things that they. And again, white people. It'll start with us, but they're gonna come for y'all soon. They're gonna come for y'all real soon because y'all can't afford no lawyers. Y'all can't afford no lawyers. Y'all really can't. So they gonna come for y'all soon. And again, like I said, if you're 600 miles from the coast, you don't got no Fourth Amendment, they gonna take your stuff without warrants, without anything. Got to tell you nothing. Stop. Let me go in your pockets. You getting shook down. So just understand it. Understand what's going on. Govern yourselves accordingly. That's my rant.
They don't have Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan
Did you
Legacy
miss me?
Radio. Here's the irony, right? We sound crazy as hell to people who have no idea of what it is we go through, like what
I'm
we
gonna
deal
step
with.
out of the proverbial wheel on
know,
this one.
We just do. We sound crazy to people who don't know what we deal with, but
Right.
it's just what it is. Steph, you got the con.
And that's true.
you
That's a
know.
really good point, Marcus.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, you got it.
Welcome back, John. I
Yeah.
think you worked in Y'all Is Stupid. You worked in Meth. You won't. I mean, it's
He got on. He got
all
in all
of
of the number
the
ones.
I hit my
The
notes.
greatest hits.
everything. All
My
the
greatest
greatest
hits.
hits.
He got in the greatest hits.
All of the offense Olympics. He
Yeah,
works in
the
it.
offense
The
Olympics, yeah.
offense Olympics.
And
Yeah.
and I only say these things in that way
Because he
to
means it.
to get to I'm gaslighting.
He's a shock jock.
And I'm shock jocking. I'm trying to just to get you to be like, what? To get back to the whole point is
What?
we white people were enslaved in this country alongside black people, and the minute that they got together and said, you know what, this isn't fair. The white people in charge with the money said, whoa, be careful. Listen, here's what we're gonna do. Y'all gonna stay slaves, y'all gonna be overseers. And listen, don't worry about it. You're better than him because you're white. But you're on the same plantation, living in the same house, making more money, making money. He's not making money, but he eats for free and you got to pay for your food. Huh?
My man. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. Steph, I apologize that you got to follow him, but you know what?
I'm sorry.
Every single week when we do this in the same sequence, and I be having to follow you, and that's hard.
Oh, please.
And don't please nothing.
I mean, and our our rents are our own. So
Yeah,
you know
the
everybody
words
gets
of
to
John
feel and say.
are represented by John and John only. The words of Steph are represented by
Yes.
Steph and Steph only, and the words by yours truly are the words of mine and mine only. We were one of the rare shows where I ain't owning his shit and he ain't owning mine, and she's not owning mine or his. We speak for ourselves. We just happen to be on the same platform. So, Steph B, you got the con. This is where you say whatever it is you want to say. I always get on you about making sure that
I
you
was
let
gonna
the folks
start
know,
that way.
yeah, who you are, where they can find you. This isn't the only place. If by my count, you do at least 3 podcasts that I know of, or shows, or internet radios, or whatever we want to qualify. I mean, you do this one, you do Wednesday, you do Friday. So get on all your stuff, before you
I
say what you
appreciate
want to
that.
say. My
Thank
sister.
you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the Hustlers Hive, where business and culture collide. Hustlers Hive T-shirts, 16 bars of business are coming out. So I'll have those on stephaniebryant.com or hustlershive.club. And of course, you can catch the Hustlers Hive. We have lately some really good guests. I actually had Tanya Goodlid on last week, who is the founder of Any Lab Test Now, or actually the franchise owner of Any Lab Test Now. We had a great conversation. She was live in studio with me. And you can catch the Hustlers Hive now every Friday from 3 to 4, live on 105.3 FM. That's Choice. And then always on ESPN 106.1 early in the morning, usually 5 a.m. So you can get up with me on Friday, or you can tune into the live show every Friday, 105.3 in Richmond, streaming 1053, Choice 1053.org. Now, you know what's interesting to me is that with all of the conversation surrounding Roe v. Wade and everything that has come up about it, I still always go back to something that I'm always going to be concerned about. You guys have heard me say it here. I identify with the needs of Black women and Black children first and foremost. And that is because they are the most, we are the most underserved, most marginalized, and most uncompensated for the work that we put into the spaces that we're in. The least rewarded, and Black children are easily the most impacted in the spaces that they go into, primarily schools. So I'm always going to speak for them, to them first. I certainly believe that Steve Harvey could never have written a book for men saying the things that men needed to do in order to get their act together. And it sold as quickly as he could write a book for women and sell out and turn it into a movie and so on and so forth. I believe that people don't like accountability when it comes from certain spaces, and that it can be marketed much more easier in other spaces. So he knew that marketing and saying, hey, get your shit together, brothers, wasn't going to be enough. So he did Think Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady. I have never been someone that was subscribed to any ideology that's written by a man who has had multiple affairs and other issues, and then take that person as the authority for women. I would prefer to read something written by women for women in that space, and I'd like that brother to take his advice and fix the male community, because that's where you need it. That being said, sisters, Roe v. Wade is your opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you to understand the difference between responsibility and accountability. And in the business space, when I'm talking or speaking to business owners, I talk about what they're responsible for as business owners. You are responsible for the financial success of your business, for the growth, for the profitability. You are responsible for the public perception of your business. You are responsible for the success of your business at any level, and you will be accountable for the consequences of most of the things that you do, or most of the actions that are connected to you or your space. I would like Black women post Roe to understand that level of responsibility and accountability, so that you don't become accountable for something you're not prepared for. So in a business space, when you understand responsibilities and you assign them to employees, you're looking around to see who is the most competent, in a well-run business space. Because there's some nepotism out there that has nothing to do with competency. But in a well-run business space, responsibilities are assigned according to competence. Who can get things done? Who is capable of taking up this task and bringing it to completion? That's the responsibility. And then in turn, accountability. If in a business space, as a business owner, you might be accountable for the things your employees say. You might be accountable for things that you are not necessarily day-to-day responsible for, but the accountability is there. And because you're accountable, you oversee all the elements of responsibility. Some people do it in a way like micromanagement. Other people give free reign, and then they kind of check back in and see what the employees are doing. Some people are never in their business. They just know it's turning a profit, and that's good enough for them. Let the employees run it. As long as it's making money, things may be okay. The level of responsibility that you now have to take for your personal life is amplified. It's already been huge. It would be easy to turn the finger and point it elsewhere and talk about the man and what he does and what he doesn't do and why he doesn't stay around and all of that. We can have those conversations, but what I do know is they're not listening to us. But you have an opportunity to be responsible for the decisions you make in this post-Roe universe. That post-Roe universe, that means you need to be hugely responsible for making sure that you don't engage with people that are not up to the task. If he is not up to the task of being a father, please don't lay down with him. If he is demonstrating that he can't get from point A to point B without needing your help, he is not the one. Because now your mistakes are going to lead to a level of accountability that you may not be ready for, but it will be yours. So the responsibility of making the decision about what is right for your body prior to the necessity of an abortion is really where I want us all to come back to and focus. Who are you spending your time with? How are you spending your time with them? Have they demonstrated the competency of someone that can actually add value to your life? Or are you always digging them out? If you're digging them out, you must know that the decisions you're making, the responsibility you're taking to engage with this individual will lead to the kind of accountability that reduced funds, that low income from your job, that lack of understanding will impact. That this person does not have to be responsible for you. They can walk away from the situation. They can walk away from it and deny it because there's no physical representation of it. It's important that we start to look at what responsibility means. It means more than putting on a condom. It means more than birth control or IUDs. It starts at engagement. Who am I even speaking to? And why am I speaking to you? You just seem like somebody that would leave me in a space of high accountability and all the responsibility. So if you know this, it may not be 100% the cure for the problems that Roe will bring about. And I say will because we're already seeing it. But it is hugely going to change the dynamic in the community as well. Not only is there power and where you spend your financial collateral, there is power and where you spend your physical collateral. The minute you decide that I'm not going to engage with this individual because I'm not even ready for the responsibility, I'm not ready to carry out the task to completion of making a mistake with that guy, it will change a whole lot of things. It is often difficult to watch the conversations that men have about quote unquote baby mamas without acknowledging the fact that they're the reason she's a single baby mama, blah, 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 that they are a huge part of it. It's very hard to have those conversations because those people are irrational by nature. Be as rational about who you spend your time with, who you're willing to sleep with, who you're willing to risk it all for, as they are irrational about what they call you when they walk away. There is a certain point in time where the responsibility is all about the decision you're making before you ever have to get to the space of accountability. And this is important because by and large, you will be the person rearing the children in the household, even when you have a husband. Most of that falls to mom. And so if you as a woman can immediately look at your daughter and say, listen, this isn't about me judging and legislating and telling you. And I'm saying this as a mom of a 24-year-old, and I have very, very real conversations. This isn't about you telling your children that abstinence is the only way. I think we've all lived long enough to know it doesn't work in the church when they're lying about it. It doesn't work in the world. People collide because that's what we do. They come together because that's what we do. If we lucky, we lucky. Stop, Sean. But that's true too. They are going to meet somewhere along the way. So just to preach abstinence to your children is not enough. I would say you shouldn't even be talking about sexuality and sex without talking about responsibility and accountability. Start off with telling your children right away, sex isn't the thing we're warning you against. We're warning you against being responsible for a task that you are not ready to complete. I am a mom of a 24 and 26-year-old. You can look in the camera and tell that those decisions were made at a fairly young age. I was 21 with 2 children and a marriage under my belt and all those things ahead of the time of understanding the necessity to complete that responsibility or what it took. What I did do was become immediately accountable for the responsibility I had undertaken. If that meant now you don't get to cheer in college, you're not running to the club, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Yes, but mentally, I was committed to the accountability before I even took on the responsibility. I may not have known what the massive accountability was going to be, that these people are forever yours. I might have been short sighted and thinking 18 was it. But the fact of the matter is, I understood even at 18 that whatever responsibilities I undertook, I would have to go through completion and then follow through and be accountable for. You need to choose responsibility. You need to teach your children to choose responsibility. And I guarantee you, they will be less accountable for the things that they don't want to be accountable for. It will give you back power, it will give you back control, and it will alleviate a lot of the problems that we're experiencing. And some of it, ladies, is not about the man you chose to have children with, it's about the man you're even having conversation with. You know it when you talk to him. I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm a coach in so many areas. Not one of them is relationships. But what I do know is the accountability, the things that I'm accountable for often start with the thing I choose to be responsible for. And so just ask yourself, when you meet that person and they're whispering all these sweet nothings, but they're broken down everywhere else. Ask yourself, once he stops the sweet nothings and you two have to be in a space together, if you are going to be wholly responsible for the relationship that you took and then accountable for the things that come from it. And if you're not ready, choose to be responsible for you and what you want responsibility for first. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. First of all, thank you to John and thank you to Steph. I just love y'all so much, and the energy that we share with one another is something that I've never experienced. And I appreciate y'all because y'all empower me to be my whole me, my authentic me, the me that I want to be on this mic and in this space. And so I thank y'all for that. For that, you give me a safe space, and I thank y'all for it. I'm gonna end us with a conversation that I've been having probably for the last few months. I'll try to be brief. My song is 6 minutes. I'm about 5 minutes and 40 seconds left. So I'm going to try to get this done in the time that I have in my rebel music. Thank you, Bob, Nesta, Robert Marley, for being the spiritual guider of what we do here on the show. I've talked a lot about new Marcus J, new me. You guys have been with me since old me, and I'm in a period of transition in my life and in my spirit. And I'm proud and I'm gracious to know that when we were in the den, it was a different me. During the period that I've had since then, I'm shifting. And my shift began on January 6th, 2021. Now, we shut the doors to the den a few weeks later. We still had the Den of Legacy and Radio on January 2021. But on that day, I changed. I remember watching what was happening on the Capitol of the United States that day. And I have always known what white supremacy was capable of. And if you listen to me talk, and if you are white and you feel a way about the things that I say, then you must be a white supremacist, because white folks who happen to just be honest white people who are Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter if you blood or cuz to me, your political leanings are what your political leanings are. What I got an issue is white supremacy. And when you hear me vehemently speak, when you hear me strongly speak about white people and about how white people treat other people in this country, I'm speaking to white supremacists. So if that ain't you, then then don't be fucking worried about it. It ain't you. But if it's you, or it might be you and you feel away, then feel away. Because on January 6th, I felt away. I felt away that day because I watched America. And it blew my mind because as a black man in this country, I'm used to y'all bullshit. I'm used to y'all fucking with us. I'm used to y'all gaslighting. I'm used to y'all acting like it ain't what it is when it is what it is. And we know. But we supposed to act like we don't know. We supposed to be inclusive and forgiving and all of that shit. Like, come on, man. I'm tired of that. I'm not doing that shit no more. No more. I'm not doing that no more. White folks who are part of that, you know who you are. You ain't part of that, then just stop talking and stay out of it. I'm not talking to y'all. Not talking to y'all. But I'm talking to the people who either were there, supported people being there, or fucked with Donald Trump. If you in this and you in that lane, then I'm talking to you. White people, if you one of them, then I'm talking to you. I am no longer interested in being emotionally invested in America and her bullshit. Because that day I saw what y'all capable of. I saw how you was ready to roll up into your own spot on the word of a racist who I told you was a racist years ago. You argued with me, and here we are with hearings where we're having people who were there who told you what they saw. And many of y'all are discounting even that while you wear your goofy ass red hat and you tell me that I'm a racist, which is the epitome of gaslighting. I'm not for that no more. I'm not emotionally connected to that no more because I see you just like you see me. Y'all always seen me. Y'all always see me. Y'all always saw me as a threat because I'm telling people who you are. And I see you. And I know you see me. And I'm tired. John's tired, Steph's tired. We come in here every single week. We try to empower our people and we try to explain to our people what it is that we see and what we know. And we try to explain to people who are moderate with regards to their racial rhetoric. And we try to show them that there is a difference between being white and being white supremacist. If you choose not to see the difference, that's a you thing. But I'm always going to be who I am. I'm always going to be what I am. And that's a proud black man in the United States of America who has the power of discernment to see through the bullshit. I'm going to raise my family. I'm going to empower my people. And I'm going to speak from this perch and this soapbox. Everything that I got in me. I love my people and I love my country. Even if my country don't love me. It's cool. I had a brother who I rock with look me square in the eye and tell me he don't fuck with me. Guess what? I still fuck with you, bruh, because I see you and I know what you're going through. And I still love you. That's how I do. Ain't got nothing to do with how you do. It's my Murr. Marcus's unrelated rant. Got nothing to do with here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. Remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. And the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you heard singing in the background. And you know how Steppin Marcus J wants to remind you that authenticity has no competition. I need you to be well. I need you to give grace. I need you to keep it 100 as we celebrate near 11 years of internet radio and live podcasting. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. We'll be back here, right here, live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Next week, y'all, holla at John, holla at Steph. We love y'all. Peace.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'm gonna drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half have Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.